for them to be oppressed? What is oppressing them?
So can I please just, again, you've just screamed over me. You've tried to,
I didn't scream. But I'm saying, why are they
sorry.
oppressed if it's not white supremacist? What's oppressing them?
They're socially oppressed, but through
How?
legislation.
What is oppressing them socially?
I think it's actually, I don't think it's just, them being specifically oppressed. I feel like it's just generalized social oppression.
Social oppression based on what?
No. Certain groups of people are going to dislike other groups of people, and that's just how the world is.
Wait, so you're saying
you can't just call it white supremacy. You can call it
hold on. What is
oppression
oppressing them? Why do people dislike Aboriginal people? Why are they oppressed?
Well,
what did they do?
Aboriginal people might dislike other people. It's just generalized.
But are Aboriginal people oppressing other people? No, Little, now you're being disingenuous. What is leading to the oppression of Aboriginal people, which is acknowledged by the Australian government, by the way? You can sit here and say, I'm Australian, I don't recognize it.
In place to advantage Aboriginal people.
Why are they disadvantaged? What system disadvantages
them? I believe through legislation. There are programs.
But what system, though? What is that based on?
Can you please search up programs that advantage Aboriginal people? Because AbStudy helps them financially and through education.
Why do those programs exist in the first place?
No, because there are specific programs.
They're disenfranchised. So why are they disenfranchised?
I don't believe they are.
They are, though. Hold on. Are you telling me that the Australian government is so altruistic and generous? It has a people that are not oppressed, they're not disadvantaged, they're not anything, but it's just so philanthropically trying to help them, Little?
I don't like it.
Again, Little, why do these programs exist?
Person, right? They're not,
why do these programs exist?
By every person, right?
Because originally Aboriginal people existed without us and we stole their land, so they're oppressed in the sense that we don't belong here, because they were here first and we took their land from them.
Existing there doesn't oppress them. No. What
no, but that's how the government explains it. That's literally how the government.
No, that's not how the government explains it.
You're a liar. If you disagree with that, you're wrong.
I want you to
search up right now.
You're a liar.
I have a source. Yeah, wait, Little Saint.
Kobe.
Little Saint.
You're asking me all these questions. How are they oppressed? How do you think they are oppressed? I can't see that. Can you put it up on the big screen? Kobe, how do you believe they're oppressed? Can you please give me an example? And now you've gone on mute. Okay. So,
Max, can you but I can respond to you after.
Wait. Mute up, Little Saint. Wait, quickly, can we okay, so I agree that Aboriginals are oppressed, right? But okay, on how can't black people be racist? Or how are all white people
That
racist?
wasn't the discussion, Max.
I'm moving the discussion.
I'm gonna drop that and go start my own live. You got 138 people, and this is the most people you've ever had in your life because we're up here.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not.
For me, it's not. This is
okay. So Kobe,
This is a low vibrational debate space.
Kobe, do you agree that programs such as AbStudy exist and advantage Aboriginal people? Do you just yes or no? I don't want an argument. I want a yes or no. Hello?
Really, no.
So, well, they do. They're literally getting financial aid. So there are literal financial.
No. The reason why I say that. Hold on. Can I respond?
Sure.
Yeah, let me respond. Yeah. You trying to rectify the wrongs that they currently are subjected to is not a privilege. It's not benefiting them. Can I finish, or are you just gonna overtalk?
You've made an example without telling me what it is. I'd like for you to explain how they're being wronged right now in today's society.
Are they not disproportionately incarcerated? Are they not disproportionately subjected to police brutality? Are they not disenfranchised? I'm so sorry, Little. Why can't I respond? This is why you
yelled over me earlier
Max.
when I was making my point, and then you tried to.
Okay, fine. I'll go mute that.
No, you can speak. I never
have a conversation with yourself.
I'll go on mute too because I think you're too immature to have a proper conversation.
That's what they start doing when they lose control.
No, low key.
She's gone on mute.
I disproved your first prompt easy.
No, you did not, Max. What are you doing?
Yes, I literally did, right?
No, you did not.
I literally did. Yeah, I did.
I'm not running. She's the one on mute. What are we talking about? I'd love to talk to her.
Because
you know what, Kobe? I apologize for
I can tell you. Yeah. So can I respond, or are you just gonna overtalk me? Okay, great. Yeah. The fact that Aboriginal people make up about 3 to 4% of Australian population, yet they make up 30% of prison population. Youth detention for Aboriginal people is at 50%. When it comes to life expectancy gap, Aboriginal people they live 8 years less than white Australian people when it comes to the education gaps. They have lower high school completion rates. They have less access to higher education. When it comes to the economic inequality, they have high unemployment rates, about 2 to 3 times higher than the average. Their median income is significantly lower. Aboriginal people live within communities that don't even have clean drinking water. In Australia, how do you live in Australia and you live within a segregated community, which, by the way, the reason as to why they were even pushed out into the outback is because your Australian government purposefully pushed Aboriginal people into areas which are very dry and arid, unlivable areas in the outback. And in these areas, they don't have clean drinking water. They don't have access to adequate health care. They don't have access to adequate internet and education resources as well. Politically, let me respond, little, because you're being disingenuous.
I'm not. You're being
who pushed them into the outback?
Completely disregarding the fact that
who pushed them into the outback, little? Who pushed them into the outback?
That's completely subjective. Why would I know?
It's not subjective. Hold on one second, little. It's not little. You don't have to crash out right now. You do not have to crash out right now because it wasn't Aboriginal people who came to Australia and pushed you into the outback.
Okay, so
you did that to them, though.
When I said earlier, the reason that these programs are in place to benefit the Aboriginal people, which they are, and if you think they do not exist or you're saying they're invalid, you're being completely disingenuous.
They're there to rectify the wrongs.
Yeah, exactly.
They're there to rectify the wrongs.
That's exactly what I said.
But they still.
Well, hold on. Are they there to rectify the wrongs? Yes or no?
And
are they there to rectify the disenfranchisement? Yes or no?
Exact point. So yes, I agree that they undergo social injustice.
Okay, so if they're being disenfranchised, what are they being disenfranchised by?
Social injustice.
What are they being disenfranchised by? If there is no white supremacist system in Australia, why are there need for these programs to continue rectifying the wrongs when they're consistently being disenfranchised? Why?
So I believe it's more so because the Aboriginal are such a minority. There's, as you said, it's a 3 to 4%
of the population.
Yes, exactly. So I believe do you think that, say, white people were 3% of the population, do you think it would be flipped? Like, be completely honest with me.
No, it wouldn't, because in Namibia, white people make up about 3% of the population.
Dishonest. That is
no. You know why I'm telling you that? Because in Namibia,
ridiculous.
little, 1 second.
Stop.
I'll tell you that, little.
Yeah,
in Namibia, white people make up about 3% of the population. They own over 70% of the lands. In South Africa, white people. 1 second, chill, little.
I'm literally
stop crashing out, little, because I'm debunking what you just said.
I'm not crashing out. You're making.
No, I'm not making absolute. Stop crashing out. Give me a single country where white people are the minority, but they're oppressed because of their race. Give me a single fucking country, little. Where is a country where white people are oppressed because little? Give me an answer. Where is a single country? Stop crashing the fuck out, bro. Give me a single country. Give me a single country where white people are oppressed because of their race.
So
where is a fucking country? Even a country where they're a minority.
You're buddy. You're getting
little. Answer that question. Name a country. Little.
Can you let me
name a single country where white people are oppressed for their race?
I'm trying to answer, man.
Okay, answer.
So you're a content creator. You do debates like this all the time. I'm sure you've done plenty of research on this. I haven't done. I cannot give you.
No, you said minority. No, name it. Name a country where white people are oppressed for their race. One single country.
Can I have like 2 minutes to look that up?
No, just name a single country. Just name it.
I can't because I don't even know country. I could have named a random African country.
Oh, so you've never looked this up
That is completely disingenuous. You were saying just because I can't give you an example right now.
Okay, fine. I'm disingenuous. You name a single country then. Name a single country where white people are oppressed for their race.
Can you give me like 2 minutes to like have a look because I'm not. I couldn't even name.
Yes, look for it. Because you just said it could be flipped. So fine, if it could be flipped, you made that claim. So name me a single country where white people are oppressed for their race.
I was talking hypothetically.
I don't give a damn about hypotheticals. I'm talking about the real world, bro. I don't live in hypotheticals.
You are so emotional, bro. You are so emotional.
I'm not.
Yeah, but wait. Because he didn't say anything about hypotheticals before you started to school him. Now all of a sudden, because she backed you into a corner, now you want to talk about hypotheticals. The whole purpose of this discussion.
Again, she's trying to insinuate that
no, stop, because you're being bad faith right now. In the beginning of the conversation, and I tell this to Max all the time, I don't engage in discussions using hypothetical scenarios. We talk about reality. And that's why, so you brought up Australia. You said it doesn't exist there. She just proved to you that it does.
Do you believe that reality is unfair?
Wait a minute. Hold on. You agreed to that initially. And now that she's backed you into a corner and you don't have a way out, now you're trying to say, let's talk about hypotheticals. Let me finish. But the point is, even if you whine over wanting to use a hypothetical, you're still acknowledging that it's not reality.
I'm not whining. I'm giving a very, I was giving a very valid point.
If it's valid, then name it.
Find the country.
No, because again, you
go do research and find the country. I bet Max will be okay with you going on pause and finding the country.
I've just asked ChatGPT. It has come up Zimbabwe. No, Zimbabwe. White people oppressed within Zimbabwe.
How are white people oppressed in Zimbabwe?
What?
Google that for yourself, right?
No, because he's talking about Rhodesia.
Okay,
this dumbass doesn't know. This is so
white farmers.
You brought up a stupid ass point because you brought up a stupid ass point.
Compensation. This was
your own. No, hold on. Your own
I've just given you an example.
No, hold on 1 second. Wait. His example of white people being oppressed is black people saying anti-colonialism. We don't want to be colonized. That's his oppression of. That's his example.
So, again,
his example. The stupidest thing is you don't even realize that Zimbabwe, as an example, was Rhodesia. A white supremacist system that was implemented by Cecil Rhodes, right, and by the British in Zimbabwe. And it became Zimbabwe because the black Zimbabweans said, we don't want to live under a white supremacist system, which is called Rhodesia, and they dismantled it. So your example of white people being oppressed is if black people say we don't want to be oppressed by you.
You just never let me speak.
Listen,
right?
just because they don't want to be oppressed anymore doesn't substantiate that they can't oppress others, right?
Kobe, you're not letting anyone speak. You just yapping. I will explain it if you stop talking. Oh my days. Okay, here we go.
Emotional, little. Don't scream. Don't be emotional.
Don't even act like you. Okay, thousands of white farmers were forcibly removed from their land, often with violence. Okay, this is a fact. This
wasn't their land.
It
wasn't their land.
No, they own the land. Okay, if a black person lives in Australia, is that not their land? What are you even talking about? That is reverse racism.
Wait, how did they acquire it? How did they acquire the land in Zimbabwe?
How did someone from another race acquire land in another country?
They colonized. They stole it. They stole it.
Yeah, or they purchased it.
They didn't purchase the land. They stole it.
No, you don't know that.
It's in Zimbabwe. It was Rhodesia. You're embarrassing yourself. Look into Rhodesia, bro.
Yeah, it is Rhodesia.
Look into Rhodesia.
Exactly.
Yes, look into that. You're stupid, bro. They stole the land.
Yeah, in addition to that, wait, can you let Faisal up, Max?
Authority, I thought we had something against calling people
Little
stupid.
Saint, hold on.
Yeah, as long as the majority...
Let Faisal up. This is the problem that I have with that argument too, right? Is because for whatever reason, people in their minds are thinking, oh, right, the colonizers came in and they took their land. Now, if the people who were oppressed kick the colonizer out, you guys would say that that's a scenario, right? Or you would say that you can equate those two things together, but you can't, right? If we were going to equate the oppression, right, then that would mean that the people who were on that land that were Black African people would then get up and go to Europe and do the same thing to them. That would be equatable, but that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about people protecting their land and preserving themselves. They kicked them out. Hold on. It is a response. Hold on. Stop. It is a response to white supremacy. It is not them being racist or oppressing the people that took their land from them in the first place.
Swan,
that doesn't make any sense.
Swan, the next time when a police officer catches a bank robber and takes the money back, the police officer is actually a thief, because the bank robber stole the money, but the money belongs to him. And so taking back the money itself is thievery. That's what Little is saying. That's what Little is saying. If you steal land, it belongs to you. Finders keepers,
steal the land. Okay, wait.
They acquire the land.
Little Saint, can you suss if there's a single case of someone who rightfully bought their land and had their or whatever and had their land taken from them on the basis that they're white?
Sorry, before we continue
then
talking,
just like straight up substantiate it.
Before we continue talking, whenever you, this is to authority and Corby, whenever you've asked me to stop talking, I've stopped and let you speak for minutes on end. Whenever
Stop
I try to
whining
bring
and
up a
answer
point,
the host question. Stop whining like a child. Just answer the question.
I'm not whining. I'm just trying to, again, I can never make my point. Again, you're whining. I can never make my point because whenever I speak, I'm spoken over. Okay, would you like to answer the question? Would you like to answer the question?
You're supposed to answer the question instead of whining.
No, you answer the because
question.
I'm whining.
No,
I'm too busy whining. Answer the question. I'm busy whining.
They know the answer.
The answer to the question is no. There were no rightfully owned land. And by rightfully owned, I mean a black person sold their land during colonization to a white. That didn't happen. All whitey people who owned land in either Rhodesia or South Africa owned that land by means of stealing it. Right? They stole it.
Listen,
and then wait. Let me finish. And then those transactions between whitey people buying land from each other, you're still buying stolen property, right? Even the law says if you buy something that is stolen, it is still stolen and you are complicit.
So, Faze, do you think colonization?
But were they reimbursed?
Do you think colonization shouldn't exist? Do you think colonization is a negative
Yes, it shouldn't have existed in the first place.
So
it shouldn't have existed.
Okay, so do you believe that you shouldn't be able to kick animals and other species out of their land to colonize it and build human infrastructure? Do you believe that's unfair?
The black people were not animals.
Because if you say no, you're directly contradicting yourself.
The black people were not animals. What are you talking about?
I never said they were. Again, you're putting words in my mouth. Your favorite strategy, words in my mouth, so I say
So why even bring up animals? I'm confused. We're talking about human beings.
But that's not
if you believe that you shouldn't be able to remove species from their original, that is the definition of colonization.
That is not analogous.
No, not necessarily, because you can make a special consideration.
No, it is racist to label people. It's racist though to
animals. When did I say that?
It's
can you please define colonization? Again, I cannot speak. Can you please define colonization?
You should know what it is.
I'm asking you. I know what it is. Can you please define it? Because I don't think you know what it is. If you think I'm making the relation to black people and animals, you have no idea what colonization is.
Calm down.
Faze, no.
Calm down. It's Faisal. Say my name in full. It's Faisal.
Faisal, my bad, Faisal. And can you please say...
It's Faisal, like Hazel with
Faisal,
an F.
Sorry, Faisal, my bad. That's my bad. I'm sorry.
Say the word Hazel. Say the word Hazel. Like, hazelnut.
Hazelnut. There we go.
And then Faisal. It's not that hard. Anyways, it is not
completely unrelated, but radio.
I'm teaching you how to say my name correctly. It is relevant, right? If you're going to address me, you should know how to say my name, no? Right.
Anyways, sure thing. Understand.
So, like I was saying, it is not analogous because the people who were removed were the black people.
Sorry, my dad just called. Can you please repeat that? I could not hear anything you said.
The people who were removed were the black people. The whitey people were not removed from land that was rightfully theirs. If you steal something, you're supposed to give it back, right? Like this is just basic logic. We all operate like this. If someone steals something from you, you have the right to take it back. So how is black people, right?
Not the way that they did, though.
How?
Not the way that I don't think they.
They didn't even mention white people, though. In the bill, if you read the bill, they don't even mention white people. This is why I'm saying it's not analogous. Within the bill, first of all, they were able to acquire the land through a chartered company by Cecil Rhodes. It's called the British South Africa Company. It was a British company that was given a private company, mind you, that was given the full rights to colonize and govern lands in the late 1800s. That's how Cecil Rhodes was able to acquire a lot of land within Zimbabwe, but you don't know that. And second of all, the bill that was supposed to rectify the wrongs and redistribute land doesn't even mention white people. So you're victimizing yourself based on a hypothetical that never happened.
I'm not victimizing myself.
It didn't mention white people.
How does this have correlation to me? I don't understand.
It didn't mention white people. Stop crying. It didn't mention white people.
I'm not crying. I literally just made a statement and you're saying I'm crying. How emotional
Little Saint, let me ask you a genuine question. Can you define white? Hold on. Can you define whiteness within the context of this discussion? We're talking about racism.
Well,
What is whiteness?
people with the white skin color.
No, that's incorrect.
Oh well, no. Okay, what are white people?
Define for us.
Give
You
me.
want me to give you the answer?
Yes, sure thing.
Yes.
Okay, I want to say this. You're trying to argue something, right? And you just proved and revealed to 213 people that you don't even know what whiteness is or means within the context of this discussion. So I just want to, we're going to take note of that.
Well, again, why are you viewing that as a negative? Okay, if I'm
Because
not
you're trying to
understanding what
argue-
you're saying, because I can't
Okay, hold on,
understand
little
your
Saint.
point. I don't understand
Hold
your
on.
point. I still don't
Hold
understand
on.
it.
Hold on. The reason why I'm saying this though is because you literally have been up here arguing with us as if you know what you're talking about. I want to remind the chat before all of you guys came in here. I said, what did you know the example between de facto and de jure segregation? And he said no. So I explained it, and I said 78%
No, I didn't say no.
of.
Max
Hold
said no.
on,
Sorry.
hold on.
Again, you're lying
hold
because
on,
Max said no. I never said no.
hold
Can you please
on.
admit
Okay,
you just
sure.
lied there?
Okay,
And
sure.
Thank you.
No one's lying. Shut up.
You did
So
lie. You
Max
just
was
made
the
a
one.
false
Can you
statement.
shush? Shut up. So Max was the one that said
little
it.
Saint.
So Max was the one that said it, right? They didn't know.
Sure
Neither
thing.
one of them.
Said what?
Can you shut up? Neither
Wow,
one
you
of
are
them
very
knew.
angry.
Said what?
Neither one
Said
of them.
what?
Neither one of them knew what the difference was between the two, right? So then I said,
Wait.
and I explained that in the United States, 78% of historically redlined neighborhoods are still redlined. It's just not written into law the way that it was during segregation. And Little Saint interrupted and said, well, when trying to politically compare the red line states to the blue line states, and I said, motherfucker, we're not talking about no red line, blue line state. We're not talking about politics. We're talking about segregation. De
'Cause
jure segregation, de facto segregation. You didn't even know what red line meant. And now you've just revealed to us that you don't know what whiteness is within the context of this conversation.
Okay, explain
You're
whiteness to
arguing
me then.
something.
Explain
You're
whiteness.
arguing
You're
something.
refusing to
You're
define
arguing.
it. Why are you
You
refusing
are
to define it?
arguing.
Define whiteness so we
You
can move
are.
on.
Please
You are
define it.
arguing.
You keep telling me I
you
don't know
are
what I'm talking
arguing.
about. But you
Swan,
refuse
this
to
is
define
Adham.
it yourself. It is your
You
Wait,
are.
little Saint,
Hey,
wait.
chill. You guys
Wait.
you're arguing
Wait,
something that
Swan.
you don't understand, Little Saint. That's the point that
define
I'm making.
whiteness. Define
Yeah,
whiteness.
don't tell me.
I shouldn't
Yeah,
have to
define
define
whiteness.
it for you.
Oh
No,
my days! So
no, but
you're
just define
you're
it.
telling
Come
me
on.
my definition is wrong, but then you refuse to define it. What are
Because
you
you said
even
it was a
talking
person.
about?
You said it was a person with white skin. When we talk about racism, we're not talking about people's skin color.
So what are you specifically talking about then?
You don't know what race is?
Of course, I know what race is.
So what is race?
Well,
If you knew what race was,
okay,
if
you're
you knew what
completely
race was,
sidetracking. You're
no,
completely
I'm not
sidetracking because
sidetracking. I'm not
in the
sidetracking.
context we're
No,
talking
I'm
about.
not
We're
sidetracking
dividing
from
them
anything.
based off skin
I'm
color in the
not. Stop.
context.
I'm not. Hold on. I am not sidetracking anything.
Okay,
You are
racism
revealing. Can you stop? You want the definition of
Racism
what?
has multiple forms.
Do you want the definition of what?
What? Sure. Actually, I've been asking for the definition of white.
Right. And why are
whiteness.
you asking me? Wait, hold on. Before I read it, why are you asking me for the definition?
Because you're telling me my definition is incorrect, and I'd love to.
No, because you don't know what it is. That's why. Because if you were,
So,
if you were
so you
correct,
believe that your
hold
definition
on.
is objectively correct?
Hold on. If you knew what it was, then you would have been able to defend it instead of having to turn around and ask me to give it to you because you don't know what it is.
No, because I'd love to get
Anyways,
your
so yeah, no, this isn't my definition. This is just
my
what
days.
whiteness is specifically. That's it.
One.
Okay.
Did you
do
you gonna
South-
say it, or are you just gonna keep?
I'm gonna
ducking
say
the
it. Hold
question?
on.
You're still
Maria, take her thing.
defining whiteness. So
say,
you're
do
not
do South
objective.
Koreans have white skin?
Yes, they do.
How are they not categorized as white though? I'm confused because I thought it was only about
then
skin
you
color.
categorize them as
Because they are
Caucasian. When you
Asian.
say whiteness,
Oh,
can you not
okay.
make the
Continue,
distinction
Swan.
between Caucasian?
Yeah.
No,
So
Corby,
I'm gonna.
You just made a
So I'm
complete
gonna
mistake,
hold
bro.
on.
Can you
Little
not?
Saint, you asked me for a definition. I'm gonna give you a definition.
Sure
Okay.
thing.
Whiteness, right? It's an idea, or like whiteness. It's a structural, cultural, and systemic positioning of white people as the norm.
So you
Or
just
the
said
ideal, excuse me, or
no.
the
You just said
ideal,
of white
excuse
people. So
me,
you're literally just
excuse
describing.
me.
You're not
It's
describing
talking
white people.
about
You're
the
just.
category
Yeah,
of
wait,
white.
little
It's
Saint,
not
little
saying
Saint,
white
wait.
skin, bro. What the hell is wrong with you?
You just.
So it says it doesn't say it doesn't.
You're
White,
including
little,
the
little
You're
Saint.
including
Can you
the
shut the
question in the
fuck up?
definition.
God damn!
Wow.
Shut up.
What about the 1,000
Anyways.
times you've interrupted me?
Can you be quiet? You asked me to read you the definition. I wasn't done. Do you want it or
Real
not?
thing. Keep going. And then after that, I need you to promise me I will be allowed to speak and you will not interrupt me.
Sure. So I'm gonna start again because I didn't even say white skin. I said white people. It's the
So you're
structural,
including-
cultural. Oh my! Listen. Can you hush? It's a structural, cultural, and systemic positioning of white people as the norm or the ideal standard, which inherently marginalizes other groups, those that are not white. Right? It operates as a power system. It operates as a power system granting unearned, often invisible social, political, and economic privileges to white individuals. That's what the concept of like whiteness, right? That's what whiteness means. But we're talking about people. Hold on. We're talking about people that would belong. We're talking about people that would belong to the category of white. Now, the other thing I was going to say is that if we talk about race, because we're not talking about skin color, the definition of race would be a superficial set of physical characteristics that a society would deem important. It has nothing to do with looking at the color of your... Hold on. No, skin color is not it. Covey just demonstrated that by asking me... No, stop. Covey just demonstrated that...
It's my time to speak.
I'm almost done. This is why Covey asked me the question, do Koreans people have white skin, right? Said yes. But are they classified as white? No, they are classified as Asian. So it does not... Hold on. So can you shut the fuck up while I finish? Shut up. I'm not done.
Shut the fuck up. You actually shut the fuck up because you've just spoken for 2 minutes straight.
Look at you getting mad. Let me finish. Yes, I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish what I'm saying. The point that I'm making is that she asked me that question to demonstrate that race is not about skin color. White people and Korean people have the same skin color, but are they in the same category when we talk about race? No, they are not.
You done
now
that?
Go ahead.
So you wouldn't define them as white people, you define them as Caucasian people because, you know, that's what they are when you're defining race. White people refers to a physical set of characteristics.
Stupid. Caucasian is not even a race.
Oh my
stupid.
God.
So stupid.
No, do you know what a Caucasian person is?
I never made a promise.
Wait,
so
do you know what a Caucasian person is? When you say a white person, you're referring to white skin. What else would you refer to white to? When you refer to Caucasian people, you're then
Caucasian is not a race.
Here we go. So again, you've just crashed out for 10 minutes about me interrupting you. I can't even make my point. This is just,
I didn't crash out.
Honestly,
I never made the
drop
promise.
this conversation because it's just ridiculous.
I never made the promise.
I want to talk to these people.
It is just ridiculous, bro. I can't even speak for 10 seconds.
Or I'm going to drop you. Otherwise, I'm going to drop you. Just pause. Okay. Listen. What's actually up for contention right now?
Caucasian are a race, by the way. They're people from the Caucasus Mountains, like Georgians, Armenians, Azerbaijanis. That's what Caucasian means.
And why people
So the fact that you don't know that little is diabolical. The race would be white,
Caucasian
not Caucasian.
people are derived from them. Do you not know? Oh my days!
Again,
you're bringing up completely
Caucasian
unrelated
people would be
definitions.
people. Hold on, just because you decided to apply Caucasian to whiteness doesn't mean that Caucasian is a race. White would be the race. Understood, little? You don't know what you're talking about. The first initial conversation, the contention was you tried to claim that there are countries that are not white supremacists that are predominantly white. And when I asked you what country exists that is predominantly white, that is not white supremacist, you brought up Australia. And then when you were debunked, you rushed to go bring up
You never
Zimbabwe.
debunked me. You just made a subjective argument. I said that the government...
It's not subjective if it's if there's empirical data to back it up.
What do you mean by a white supremacist country?
All predominantly white countries are white supremacists. They have systems that specifically...
What is a white... Yep.
Yeah. Swan already responded to that, right? So, for example, countries that have systems that produce disparities to specifically advantage white people and disadvantage anyone who isn't categorized as white. Countries that uphold this racial hierarchy, where white people are on top, black people are at the bottom, and everyone else is in between. That would be a white supremacist country. There is not a single predominantly white country that does not produce that hierarchy.
Sorry,
not a single
let me just say one thing. Kobe, I've letting you speak, you let me speak. When authorities defining white people...
Shut up, Saints. Listen, so this is a true fact. This is a true fact, okay? Because we can see that throughout pretty much all institutions, black people face the most oppression, right? And the people on the basis of their race, right? And the people who face the least oppression are white people on the basis of their race, are white people, okay? So like when we're talking about that they benefit, it's literally just talking about this gap of oppression, right? It's not necessarily saying that all white people are gaining off every single, racist action. Okay. It's just saying that like there is that gap. Okay. But what is this actually like, Yeah, we know this, right? But like your main point is that like this makes this, because you're saying white supremacist, and we define white supremacist as the belief that an ideology, sorry, a race is superior. But yeah, right.
Wait, if you advantage
white
white
race is
people
superior.
based on their race, that is upholding a hierarchy where white
Yes.
people are on top of that racial hierarchy and black people are at the bottom and everyone else is in between. So can Little mention any single country that white people have touched that they live in that they haven't made predominantly white supremacists? Can you give me a predominantly white country that is not white supremacist?
I can argue that.
You still haven't given me a definitive definition or an objective definition of white people. Whenever again, you're interrupting me. You just complained about me interrupting
No, because I literally just did.
When you gave me the definition of white people, you said white people twice throughout the definition.
No, I didn't say white people.
How are you giving? You said white.
I
not
said
white.
whiteness.
Exactly. So you're bringing up what you're trying to define within the definition. That makes it a completely false definition.
No.
You cannot define
White
something.
people. Hold on.
Define
White
it
people.
again. Go define it again, because
White
that's exactly
people
what you did.
and can you stop? White people and whiteness are two different things. I only gave you the definition of whiteness.
What's the difference?
Because white people would be me speaking specifically about that category. Whiteness explains what the purpose of that category is. Are you okay?
So you're saying you defined whiteness to me. I asked for the definition of white people because when you asked me to define white people,
no,
I
didn't. You didn't ask me for you didn't ask me for anything.
Such as white skin.
You're lying. You didn't
just lying.
No,
You're lying.
you didn't ask me. Hold on.
God,
you didn't ask me for anything because I asked you if you knew what whiteness was. I said, "Can you define whiteness?" And then you said no. So I defined it, and then I defined.
I never said
race.
no. I gave you a direct definition.
You did, and what you said was incorrect.
I gave you a direct definition. You're lying.
You said it was white people, and I said no. I was talking about whiteness. The definition to whiteness and then the definition to white people would be two different things. But you don't understand that because you don't know what you're talking about.
I do understand that, but you're completely disregarding the point I made, and that's that you asked me specifically what white people are, not
no.
what
I said whiteness. I said whiteness.
She said whiteness.
I didn't say white people.
She said
are you
whiteness.
okay?
Like this is what we're saying. You're not paying attention to the conversation, and then you want to interrupt her while she's trying to explain to you what she's saying, and then you take away the wrong thing. You take away the wrong thing.
Bring up interrupting. I have let these
but he's explaining it to you.
Again, I'm explaining to you. I am explaining to you what happened. I
don't need your explanation. I do not need your explanation.
I am explaining to you what happened. Right, you're crashing out because you did not hear what was asked of you.
I'm not crashing out. You're crashing out.
Yes, you are. You're raising your voice.
You're
crashing out. Like, dog, I'm here climbing trees.
Anita, thank you for the
I'm here indulging in a natural plant that is not manufactured. You think at 10 a.m. I'm trying to scream at a white man? No, I'm not crashing out.
So you're doing.
I'm not crashing out. So, again, we need to understand that there's a difference in the concepts that you're trying to put together, and the things that you're trying to put together don't fit. Right? You still have yet to answer which country exists that is predominantly white that does not have white supremacy.
I've made this point very clear. I cannot give you a direct example because I'm not educated on that specific topic. I've said you won't let me speak. You won't let me speak. You won't let me speak. We're not speaking about specific examples. We're speaking about the generalized ideology. Just because I can't give you an exact real world example doesn't mean I can't follow a specific ideology. Okay? What I was trying to say.
It literally does.
You cannot define a person.
Other than that,
this is reverse racism.
You're talking about
you cannot define a person by his skin.
Other than that, you're talking about a hypothetical. If you cannot give a real life example, you're talking about a hypothetical.
Because I'm not directly educated on the topic. I haven't studied this. Why are you giving us the ideology behind it?
If you're not educated on the topic,
because you will not let me speak. I've studied patiently for a minute. You will not let me speak.
If you're not educated on the topic, then why? If you're not educated on if you're not educated not
Sorry,
educated
Faisal,
on the
just
topic. Why?
Yeah, Faisal. That's a plea to credentials. That's a plea to credentials. Okay, that's
No,
powerful,
it's not.
okay?
He didn't say anything about credentials.
You're saying because
it's
someone
not.
doesn't meet
You
your
should be
standard.
no,
You're
no,
literally saying because
no.
someone
Let
doesn't
me
meet
finish
your
my
standard
sentence.
that they
Wait,
can't have a
wait,
debate.
Max,
you will not let me
Max,
speak.
wait,
You will not be reciprocated.
Max,
I will not
Max,
reciprocate it.
wait. Here's the thing, right? If we're going to talk about a complex system of structures, right? If we're going to talk about a complex thing, we're going to need to understand what the complex thing is, right? And Little has said multiple times that he does not have the information. Little has said multiple times that he does not have the information
you're not understanding
to
my
understand
point. You won't
the
let me speak.
complex
Can I
topic.
please make my point?
He has not. He has said this multiple times.
No,
Max,
you're just
would
lying
you go
now.
into a
You
live
won't let me
about
speak. I can't make
astrophysics
my point,
and the only
'cause you
thing
won't
about
let me
physics
speak.
you know
You are a clown.
is
You
Newton's
won't let
law
me
of
speak. You
no,
disregard a point
no,
I haven't even made.
no,
You were literally
no.
trying to. You're
Come on,
falsifying
crash
a
out,
point I haven't
crash out,
even made because
crash
I
out,
can't speak.
crash
I will
out,
crash out
crash
because
out.
I can't speak.
Chimp out. So, like I was saying,
Yeah,
Max, wait,
Oh
Max, I
my
want to
days,
ask
this
you a
is a
direct
joke.
question.
This is like
I'm
actual
asking,
clown. This is a circus.
I'm asking the host a
Wait,
question.
Saint, wait.
Can the host hear my question? Max, would you join a live about astrophysics when the only thing about
Oh, bro,
physics
I
that
don't
you
want to hear
know
that. I don't want to hear that.
I'm not
Okay.
talking to you.
I don't want to hear that. I don't.
Wait,
Faisal, can I make my point, or are you gonna
It's a
keep
plea
trying
to
to just prove a
credentials. It's
point
a
I
plea
haven't
to
even been able to
credentials, and
make?
yes, I will.
can I
Can't make a
finish?
point.
I
Can I
can because
finish?
you won't
Can
let
I
me
finish
speak.
the
That's right,
point?
exactly. You are
Can
right.
I finish
Thank
the
you.
point? I just
Authority,
want to
you
hear
just
Max's
proved my
answer to
point.
the
You're not
point.
making a point. Yes, I would. You're not making a point that's relevant. Okay.
Let me finish. It's an analogy. Let me finish.
There, love.
No,
If
bro.
you were up here for the last half now,
You're literally talking about nothing.
getting interrupted
You're literally
all
just
day,
committing ad hoc. You're saying because
every
of
time you
this.
try to make a point, it is frustrating. Okay, I'm frustrated. Okay,
Again,
Faisal,
if you only know
does the
first
color of
law of
someone's skin
Newton,
change how they think? I want you to say that.
What question is that?
No, because the
that's a
answer is
stupid
no, correct?
question.
The answer is no, correct? The answer is no, correct?
That no one gave you an answer. It's just a weird way to frame your question.
Okay,
What was the question?
but no, that's a valid question. That's a valid
Does the
question.
color of someone's skin
wanna know-
change the way they think? This
That's
is
not a
important,
valid
okay?
question. That's irrelevant.
Oh my
No,
God!
that is
So
a
you
completely valid
completely
question.
disregard it
That's
because
that's
whenever you're
irrelevant.
trying to make a point,
But
you
wait,
just suck
irrelevant.
it. You won't
Wait,
even
little
let me
Saint.
speak. You
But no,
won't
little
even let me
Saint.
speak.
Little Saint,
You won't
because
even let me speak.
hold
This is
on,
a
but we
joke.
already
This is a
wait.
circus. This
Little
isn't a
Saint.
debate, bro. This is an absolute
No,
circus.
but hold on, because you're
I'm not
making
going
a
to stop until
mistake.
you let me finish my fucking
You
example.
no, but we already answered
I'm
that
not even
question.
gonna lie. I'm
though.
crashing out, bro, because I cannot do this. I cannot speak for more than
Yeah,
20
but all I'm
seconds
saying is we
without.
already
I'm getting
answered that
3v1s
question.
right now, and whenever I try to make an example, I get interrupted.
You asked
every
us a
single
question.
time. No,
Wait, you
okay.
asked. You
It's a
literally did he
one-word
not just
answer.
ask a question?
Yes
You
or no?
asked us
Yes
a
or no? Right
question.
now, yes or no?
Yeah, you. So wait, you asked us a question. Do you not want us to answer?
Yes or no? Yes or
You
no?
literally answered.
Yes or
Okay, so
no?
I'm gonna give you an answer. The answer is
I can't.
we already addressed that earlier when we talked about Korean people who have white skin and white people who have white skin. We already addressed that.
So what are you basing racism off? Are you basing it off skin color, or are you basing it off their race?
I already answered this.
What is your point?
Race is a superficial set of physical characteristics that a society would deem
Exactly.
important. We
So it
answered
isn't
this
just
already.
based off skin color; it's also based off other physical characteristics. We can both agree they're
Which was
based
the
off
point.
physical
But
characteristics.
that's because you said skin color earlier. We're
Okay,
explaining to you that
okay.
that's not how
So
it
your
works.
example. So when you're comparing black and white people, the primary difference in physical characteristics is going to be the skin color. When you're comparing
It's not.
Caucasian,
Not
no,
always,
Corey, you're interrupting me, Corey.
It's not
Corey,
Corey.
let me speak. I don't give a
Who's
fuck.
Corey?
Corey.
name
I
is
can't see
Cubby.
your name's blocked out. All right, I can't see. I just want to speak. Okay.
That's just not how it works, though.
Do you want to switch subjects because I no
Wait,
longer want to speak on this.
Swan, can I
It's
ask
just
one thing?
completely skewed.
Are there some
No.
like white Italians who are darker skinned than Zendaya?
Yeah.
Okay, so can I just
right.
please
So
say
if
something?
Zendaya
Kobe,
can be
nice point,
lighter
bro.
skinned, hold on. If Zendaya can be lighter skinned than some Southern Europeans who are white,
So where would those parents
why
from? Their
is
parents would have
Zendaya
immigrated from
categorized as a
African
black?
countries.
One
What is your
second.
point?
Why is
You're
Zendaya
literally
categorized as a
disregarding
black?
immigration. You're making absolute categorical
I'm not
errors.
talking about
What is your point?
immigration. I'm talking
Can black
about. I'm
people
not
not
talking.
live in Italy? Can there be?
Yeah,
Can there
that's
not
why
be
I
a
said white
3-generation black
Italians,
family in
bro.
Italy? That
I
doesn't
said
exist.
white Italians. I said white Italians. I said white the fuck
Do you
Italians in
do you think
Sicily.
Zendaya's
Are you
white? So
telling me that we
Zendaya's white.
can't find white Italians in
That's
Sicily
not
who are
what
darker
she
than
So
said.
Zendaya?
Zendaya's white. You just said that there's white
No,
Italians
that's not
darker
what
than
she
Zendaya.
said.
I
So
said
This is the
if
problem.
white people
again,
are darker
little,
than
you're not
Zendaya, then
listening.
Zendaya
Little
is white.
Max, you have to
No,
get
you're not
smarter. You
listening
have
to
to
me.
get smarter mutuals. I'm not gonna lie. I said,
Bro, I don't know
are
who
there
this guy
white
is.
I don't
Italians
know who
in
this guy is
Southern
either.
Europe or white
You don't know him?
Spaniards who might be darker than Zendaya? Yes, there are. And yet Zendaya is categorized as a black woman, and yet they are categorized as white. So clearly, if we can find some black people who are lighter
What
than
is your point?
fucking
If you're,
white people,
you're literally talking about color, which is completely subjective.
no.
Okay,
He's not.
if an
Skin
African
color. So I'm
family
telling you, it's not
migrated to
dependent on
Italy
skin. Little.
and passed down
I'm
3
telling
generations
you,
of family,
oh my
they're
goodness.
Italians, but they are still black.
Listen, mediocre white men. Why did
now you're
mediocre
just
white
being
men like
racist.
Little make us
Mediocre
think
white
that they
men.
were superior, bro?
Radio.
You don't even understand the
I
old
don't
system
think
that
I'm
you
superior
fucking created.
whatsoever. You won't even acknowledge my
No,
point.
you
Can I just
told
make things
me,
very clearly? I do not believe white people are
are there
superior
some
to
white
any
people
other
who are
race
darker than some
whatsoever.
black people? Yes or no? You said skin color.
Can you
You
please
said race is determined by skin color.
repeat
You fucking
yourself?
said that.
Oh, you're
And the
angry
fact
now.
that
Wow.
the fact that we can find
Holy
some
crash
white
out.
Europeans who are darker
Can you please
than
define
some
white
black
European?
people.
Because a black person could have migrated to Italy, passed down 3 generations, and
Are you
become
listening to what I'm
Italian.
saying?
How does
No,
that
he's not at all.
define white
Does that
Italian?
black
Because you're
person
saying a white.
hold on. Does a black person change their race?
So what is a white Italian that's darker than Zendaya? That is literally the worst point I've ever
Oh my
heard.
goodness.
No, it's not.
Little.
Yeah,
Are there
exactly.
white
Thank you. You are
Italian?
so
Either white
aggressive.
Italian. Oh my
This
goodness.
is the most subtle aggression I've
You're
Max,
actually
yeah,
a
ever
dumb.
heard.
Like I don't even want to say
Whoa!
that
And now you
word.
just
I don't even want to say that word.
angry. Look
I'm-
how angry and emotional you are.
I'm
You
not-
can't even
not-
make an objective
little,
point
but Little
without getting
Saint, the
emotional.
part that's
See, again,
frustrating
you
is
call me
because
dumb because you refuse to let me finish
No,
any of
you
my
are
points
you
whenever
are
I try to
making stupid
substantiate my
points.
points.
You're making stupid
No,
points.
because you won't let me
No, because
substantiate it,
you
and you're
said, hold on one second.
oh, he
You
ran.
said, I don't know, but he said that race is only about skin color. And if that's the case, why do some white Europeans who live in Southern Europe, this guy probably has never traveled to Southern Europe, I have, right? There are white Italians and white Spaniards who are darker than people like Zendaya or than some black people. Yet the Zendaya is categorized as black, whereas some Southern Italians are categorized as white. So clearly it isn't only about skin color. Because like I'm confused. Some Greeks are dark skinned exactly, like white Greeks I'm talking about you are darker, right? Like there are some Koreans who are lighter skinned than white Europeans. So clearly it's not about skin color. There are albino people. There are black people who are albino who might have whiter skin. Like, I'm confused. Like, why is this person talking about this topic if he doesn't even know what race is? But he's sitting here trying to debate race. Bro, what?
I have no clue. He did concede, but because I was originally talking to Max, and then he came in and he was just that's when he said, "Okay, listen, Solid, you're in here." This what he said that we're gonna leave. He said, I asked him if he knew the difference between de jure and de facto segregation, and no, I was asking Max if he knew, and Max said no. Okay, so then Little Saint chimed in, right, and I was explaining that like one was written into law. And the other one is still upheld systemically. It's just not written into law, right? Not in the obvious way that it was in the past. And I was like we know that there are neighborhoods here in the United States that are where they're dealing with being redlined, right? And so Little Saint responded. This is when he first chimed into the conversation. He responded and he said, well, if we're going to be talking about like political differences where you have, like your red line states and then your blue line states. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Child, we're not talking about the Democrats and the Republicans by state. We're talking about being redlined. Like he did not know or understand what I said when I said that. He thought red line was Republicans and blue line states were Democrats. That is what he thought.
Like, I'm still mad.
Listen, pause. Oi, Faisal, pause. Okay, wait. So can we I want to ask why black people can't be racist. And like now that we can actually have a conversation. Huh?
No, we're leaving. You should have kicked him out of here a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're leaving. I gotta go start my live up.
Nah, but like, why are you dodging? Because you've never actually had this debate with me. You are because you've never actually had like a genuine conversation.
Because you're not more important than me hosting my live.
Not getting
you're not more important than me hosting my live.
Yeah, but it'll be quick. You'd be like, it could be quick as. And the thing is, you guys
come to my live. Come to my live.
Don't mute me constantly. Done. Don't mute me constantly.
Okay, but like Max, you said something earlier on about my point, which it's not true. Cause like, honestly, logically, Max, you can't engage in a conversation about astrophysics when the only thing you know about physics is the first law of motion. That's the point, Max. So engaging in a conversation about race and racism when the only thing you know about race is your race doesn't qualify you. You do realize that, right? That's what I was saying.
But that's still a plate of credentials. It's like,
it's not. But Max,
you might not be able to say anything meaningful. Like, listen, but like, it's still like a fallacy. Like, you still can't. There's still a plate of credentials. That's just like saying like, because like you don't know this specific information, you can't have a debate about it. You just got to give the information to them. Wait, let's go to Swan's live.
We will. I'm a mod there. I'm gonna go there. I just need to say, but like, that's not analogous, Max, because again, it would be a plea to credentials if I said that you have to be in astrophysics to talk about this. I didn't say that, right? That's a difference. If you do not have the relevant information, you can't speak on it. That it's just a simple logical fact. We can't act like it's not. Anyways, let's go to Swan's live, everybody.
Yeah, so you got a point. Yeah.
Cherish. Between 1941 and 1945. The word G-side, the definition of G-side was not coined until 1944. The UN was founded in 1945. The Nuremberg trials happened in 1945. Now, the renewed Geneva Conventions would define what today we see as a G-side, which is what they consider the H cause, did not happen until 1949. So here's my problem with this. They are claiming that they cannot give reparations because according to international law, this wasn't illegal at the time it occurred, and yet G-side, the laws that were broken during the H cause for the G-side were not even in paper. This wasn't written down. There was not a specific law that was broken prior to the G-side happening. They did have the Hague Convention. They did have the prior Geneva Convention. However, those did not encompass what the new renowned G-side Convention in 1949 counted. Now, we can also take a look at how the Nuremberg laws were inspired by the Jim Crow laws. So if they had the Nuremberg trials, why the fudge did America not have the Jim Crow trials? We have been paying reparations to the J people for the H cause since 1952, and it continues till today. To me, this argument of they were not illegal because under international law at the time, it wasn't illegal. To me, on paper, it could also apply to the H cause, yet they created the laws after the fact that it happened. And they punished them after the fact that the laws were written. So, go ahead. I saw Covey and Skeptic raise their hand.
Give me a second. I'm going to get to him. I want to say this to the black folk in the chat. Understand one thing. I don't care what y'all think Africa going to do or capable of doing. They did what we needed them to do. The UN has acknowledged this thing, the transatlantic slave trade, as being the gravest crime against humanity. That's your legal standing. That's your baseline. Whether y'all like it or not, Ghana just established the global baseline for a claim to reparations for black folk who are descendants of anyone involved in the transatlantic slave trade. They have laid the baseline. There was no baseline. Legally, how would you take your claim to any court if nobody acknowledged it as being a crime? And according to American law, it was legal. Ghana just gave you what you needed. Now, I don't give a fuck who y'all favorite leaders are, who y'all favorite TikTokers and YouTubers are. Man, don't talk to me about no niggas who ain't at the UN. Fuck your favorite foundational black American. Fuck them. Nigga, I'm FBA. They don't speak for me. Niggas sitting around on the motherfucking social media eating tacos. Nigga got taco grease all on their fucking arm. That shiki cloth on their head and talking about they don't like. Shut your motherfucking ass up. You headed to get some jerk chicken right now, nigga, with plantains. Don't talk to me about no niggas who ain't standing on the stage at the fucking UN. I don't care about these LBA TikTok leaders. These niggas not at the UN. What the fuck wrong with black people? Man, we don't need nobody speaking for. Who gonna go speak for you? Who? That nigga from San Diego? The fuck out of here, man. You niggas don't want no money. Shut up. Let Ghana do what they doing, man. I'm a foundation of Black America. Ghana can speak for me. Yes, Your Honor, I'm here and Ghana speaking for me. I'm gonna sit my foundation of black ass back and shut up. Why? Because Big Brother Ghana has resources, leverage. I don't have no leverage. Fuck, I'm gonna show with a jersey signed by Steph Curry. I got my favorite Steph Curry jersey. Man, come on, man. I don't get you black folks. You motherfuckers are CIA, man. Y'all have to be. Y'all telling black Americans don't vote, and you mad at Ghana because they fighting for a reparative claim at the UN? What do you niggas want? What these niggas want, man? Y'all want y'all favorite motherfucking white person to jump out of a hot air balloon with a reparation check. It ain't happening. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what you foundation of Negroes say. Ghana can speak for me. Nigga, I'm a foundation of black American. From the deep south. I can smell the cotton still. Ghana, you can speak for me. Go ahead, speak. I'm listening too. Ghana went up to the UN and laid the baseline for reparations for black folk globally. I don't want to hear about y'all favorite fried chicken eating barbershop nigga. Shut up. Them niggas dumb. They don't have no fucking degrees. They don't have high school diplomas. And they compete with undocumented folk for Amazon jobs. These niggas not no fucking leaders. You think I'm speaking against African nations because a handful of Negroes in America said some shit? Boy, fuck you. Birdie, you could chime in right quick, and then Covey after Birdie. I'll let Birdie calm it down a little bit before you jump in here, Covey.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're right. It's about resources. You got a little footing behind you. Ghana got a little, economy. They got a little, they got a little, they got a little, they got a little, a little military. They got a little, infrastructure where you could, they got a little means of production, believe it or not. They producing things in Ghana, making a lot of money. So to have a nation behind you instead of an organization, it's what more you need. Now you got nations. You got 54 nations of Africa that know this is what happened and it's the worst thing. Now that Europe is looking at the same way. What more do you want? All you got to do now is say, yeah, you're right. Let me jump in this game. Instead, you standing on the sideline being a hypocrite, cursing this man out in public, calling the N-word. This is what they was doing in New York, bro. This man was doing a speech and out there, and then in this FBA, they was going crazy behind the man, bro, on everything. Calling the mayor, Mondamia, all kind of this, all kind of that, talk about his wife and all kind of foolishness. I was like, come on, y'all. We supposed to be trying. This is the unity we talking about. That's where the reparations at. Us coming together, putting our minds, our hands and our hearts together and putting everything, locking it in and pointing the finger at the right person. This is what we've been waiting for. Nah, nigga, motherfuckers can't appreciate nothing. So at the end of the day, bro, you're right. We got a big brother waiting. And I always said it, our reparations and our unity and our motherfucking heritage in Africa. That's the new frontier. Let's go over there and invest in some of them big ass factories and start refining some uranium, some copper, you get what I'm saying? Some, that stuff that's under the ground that Elon Musk need. Let's start let's sell that to the world. Let's get involved in that. That's ours. Nah, we want to sit over here and keep crawling and begging these people for a job. Come on, bro. This is what we need to be doing, bro. You are 100% right. Big brother's helping.
I always use the Titanic as an analogy because I think the Titanic is the most spot-on analogy for white society. You remember that ballroom on the Titanic? That motherfucker was beautiful. They had the best food and chandelier, all types of just beautiful shit. You Negroes in America, you Negroes just want to sit at that table and eat, even if the ship going down. Imagine the ship sinking. Everybody trying to save themselves, and 5 Negroes skirmish out to the dining area and just sit at the table and say, man, I always wanted to sit at these goddamn Titanic. Man, I like this table. The boat going down, man. Get the fuck out of there. You niggas, I see now. You Negroes just want to sit at the white folk table. Even if the motherfuckers, if the whole goddamn thing's sinking, you don't care. You just want to sit at the white folks' table in America. You want to feel like them. You want to pick up their fork and knife. You want to eat behind them. That bloody ass steak, nigga, it's nasty. You don't have to ponder on it, nigga. I'm telling you, that bitch still bleed. You ain't gonna like it. Your body ain't built like that. Your stomach ain't gonna even take well to that. Avoid it. You got the whole goddamn thing starting to sink. You got a handful of black folk running out to the dining area in the Titanic, taking a seat. Just happy to have that seat. Even if it's about 2-3 minutes before all that water coming and wash your black ass away. The way y'all pushing back against other black people from outside, from other parts of the diaspora, this shit don't make sense. It was cute for a while, but now this shit getting real CIA. You telling black people in America don't vote. You mad at black people who at the UNs fighting for reparations or fighting to have the transatlantic slave trade acknowledged as being a crime against humanity, which is the baseline for reparations. You don't want that. What you want? I'm lost. What you want? What you want? You want to see a favorite FBA on a do-rag pack? Like, what the fuck do you niggas want? You Negroes don't think beyond y'all xenophobia and hatred. Y'all screaming, get the Mexicans out, treat them bad. Whole time, the Mexicans over at the UN voting yes. Yes. Black people were treated wrong. That's the worst thing that ever happened. The Mexican folks, the indigenous American folks, they been through a lot of shit. 100 million indigenous people got wiped out. They could have said, no, man, that's the biggest crime against humanity. They didn't. They said the transatlantic slave trade, at least Mexican leadership. Mexican leadership said, man, the transatlantic slave trade, y'all right, Gunner. That's the worst shit that ever happened. And you still have black folk trying to align themselves with these YT conservative people here in America. It don't make sense to me, man. Y'all are anti-black. You guys are the definition of anti-blackness, and y'all are dangerous. And what make y'all so dangerous, or most dangerous, is that you guys are extremely fucking ignorant. Y'all are extremely ignorant. You don't have any bargaining chips. If we're having a global poker match for global dominance and superiority, we just the people in the room who's singing and entertaining as Black Americans. The band on stage who just keeping everybody else feeling good. That's us. We don't have anything to bargain. Y'all make fun of African nations because imperial rulers came in and they've been in control of what it is that they have over there in Africa. But last time I checked, same white folks stole everything we created on this side of the ocean. They took all of our inventions from us. They control all of our music. Any intellectual properties that we should have as Black American folk, white people own it over here too. So you laughing at the Africans because their resources were pillaged and taken from them. And Europeans control everything that they have and created. But you ignoring the fact that the Europeans over here did the same shit to us and still doing the same thing to us. It's funny. It's funny how they work. W, you can chime in here, and then Professor, I'm gonna get you in here.
Oh, can I? Oh.
Yeah, it's on you, W. Sajid, I'm gonna bring you up. Jump back in the queue, Sajid. I'm gonna bring Ayana back up. Go ahead, W, you got it.
Wait, who's W?
It's on you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, got it.
First of all, can you please remind me not to eat or drink when I'm watching your lives next time? Because I almost choked in San Diego. Why San Diego catching strays?
It'd be a lot in my mind. It'd be a lot. I be genuinely upset though. I be upset at the foolishness. Like I literally be upset.
That was was so out of pocket. But yeah, no.
I'm gonna do better. Ayana, jump back in the queue, Ayana. It's time.
Yeah, I wanted to address 2 points, right? So when it comes to the leverage, actually I think like within like Africa currently, like a lot of African countries do have resources, but the global system that African countries operate in makes it very hard to convert those resources into political leverage. So I don't necessarily think that African countries have much political leverage, especially because a lot of African leaders who wanted to put their people first were assassinated. And instead, now when we look at the oils and minerals that exist on the African continent, they are controlled. The extraction of said resources are controlled by multinational corporations, right? You have the debt like relationships as well with institutions such as like the IMF or the World Bank. And so African countries in general, a lot of the African governments work against the people. The African Union itself is a colonial institution or entity. So African countries themselves are still occupied, I would argue, and don't actually have full leverage. And then the second part, when it comes to investing, I think like one thing I would say is, right, because investment could either empower communities or it could also unintentionally reproduce patterns that are similar to extractive or colonial systems, right? So one thing I would say is it's best, the key here is to shift from investing in Africa to partnering with African people and institutions, right? So instead of seeing Africa as this market opportunity, I think the necessary way to view this is to say, like, think in terms of solidarity or shared growth, right? Like, people have to recognize, first of all, the diversity of 50 plus countries, the cultures, the economies, and then be willing to follow local leadership and work together with these countries, right? So because it's very, very important that Africa and African-led businesses and startups do not need other exploiters. What they do need is, right, solidarity, especially amongst the Black diaspora. Because partnering with African people and institutions is 100% important. I think it's important in pushing out these multinational corporations that are benefiting off of resources, off of African resources. But I do think that it is important not to reproduce those harmful patterns and instead work towards partnering together with African people and African-led businesses and startups and institutions as well, so that there can be a mutual growth, right? And not only a one-sided growth. So those are the two things that I want to say, because currently today in Africa, I'm not going to lie, it's not looking good. There are multiple genocides happening currently. There are about 40 plus conflicts that are being funded by outside forces. There's active slave trade happening in Libya and in Egypt and a lot of North African countries. So African people don't necessarily have leverage, but working together with other Black people, especially in the diaspora, I think that this could be a way to push white people out, because white people don't have any incentive of dismantling racism. They benefit off of it. They will never ever benefit or like dismantle it. I think what's very necessary is to dismantle it from within, working together.
Yeah. My bad, Covey. I didn't call you Covey, Dovey.
You could.
Love you. I just call you
That's why I was
everything.
like, who the hell? I heard
No, my
W.
bad, my
I was
bad.
like, it's like, you could just call me Athena. That's all.
I'm
Ciao,
gonna
just
get it right.
Athena.
I'm gonna get it right, Covey. I'm gonna get it right. I'm reading off like 3 different screens over here, so I'll be talking and reading at the same time. So sometimes I'll be kind of off course, but I got you. Professor, I'm gonna let you chime in. I want to say this though. Anytime when I speak on Africa, I'm speaking 20, 30 years from now. I know Africa still is in a fight of her own. So I'm never speaking on Africa in this in the understanding that they have the complete power and authority to do all these things right now. I'm just using foresight, and I can see what's taking place in Africa, especially when you look at the at those nations like Burkina Faso, Niger, and the way that they're going about it. So my idea is that when Africa completely regains all of the authority over itself, that's when the leverage, they'll begin to have Mali as well. That's when they have the leverage to actually pull some of this stuff off. But you're right, Covey. Right now, at this point, Africa is still vulnerable and volatile. But I just think naturally things correct themselves. And white dominance globally, I think it's in the midst of some sort of global correction. So at some point, Africa is going to have enough power and authority to help other black people throughout the African diaspora. May not be now, may not be in 10 years, may not be in 20 years, but at some point it's coming. So I always kind of speak into the future. Go ahead, Professor, you can chime in. Y'all shorten it up for me because I know a lot of people up here waiting, and it's a good conversation, so I want everybody to be able to get in here. Go ahead, Professor.
Thank you for having me. As someone who is both Ugandan and and Black American, yesterday was awesome to watch, and seeing what Ghana did. And one of the things that I've been kind of thinking, kind of like what you just said, thinking ahead, like what can happen now that this is happening. I'm looking at more of like, what are the strategies that some of the other Black countries and other countries can be doing now when it comes to the international courts of justice, and looking at the legal standing. So now that legally we've said like it's been done here for the with the UN, what can be the next moves that can be made for a lot of these countries who have basically been kind of just, put on the, like, who've basically been tortured by a lot of those abstention bloc countries, and by the United States, Argentina, and the little blue hat country as well. And so I really am looking, I think one of the things that my sisters and I were actually talking about it this morning. And one of the things that we were talking about was just in the resolution in itself, it talked about, and I know you've been mentioning it, you mentioned it this week, and I know you mentioned it last week, about how like a lot of the African nations are looking for getting their artifacts back. Mm-hmm. And that was like a part of that reparations. But it's like, now you can go, now they're on loan, but now like when these countries get a footing and get their within their governments and that sort of stuff ready and fitted, they can go to the international courts of justice and be able to say like England, Germany, the Netherlands, you need to be able to go and give here's the moral upstanding of why you should legally give back our things, even though they shouldn't have to take them to court. It should be just give us back our stuff, in that sense. And I think one of the things I've noticed when I was listening in before I came up, one of the books that I've read that I feel like if people want to read is King Leopold's Ghost, and understanding like how horrible the Belgians were to the Congo, but also just the list of things that need to be remedied in order for this stuff to happen. So I'm really excited, and this has been a really great conversation to discuss.
In fact, Skeptic, you can chime in, and then Creole, and then Al. Creole, Skeptic can't speak right now. You can go ahead, brother, if you need to.
Yes, sir, brother. I ain't gonna lie. You said some facts, Casso, but at the end of the day, I just love us as Black people in America. You know, I don't be satisfied with who we are. I'm not, not always, accomplished about some of the things that we do, but just us as Black people, specifically in America, I love my people everywhere else. Trust me, I do. But at the end of the day, just us specifically, we've done a lot of things to be able to just single-handedly free everyone from slavery. And I know we played a critical role in our own liberation. Yes. And because of that, I have a certain type of grace towards my people. But I do understand that when it boils down to like other people. I just more so of don't look at other people that's not a part of Black American history as more so they need to be responsible for Black American history. It's like I can't base what other people do on what other people do for what we need to do. Like if we Black Americans, that's our responsibility. Yeah, we can ally up, but we can't depend on people to love us to do those things. We have to look at each other and say, you know what? Because of the self-emancipation, because of the military service of African Americans that fought in the Union Army, specifically, that's one of my favorite titles. Because of the 1863, the 13th Amendment in 1865, because of all these things, I think we are more responsible for doing these things with each other. And we got to quit acting like other people are responsible for coming in to help us to do these things. Now, we got to wake up in the morning and look ourselves in the mirror and look ourselves and say, yo, like, what are we going to do? Like, we can't always based on what other people are going to do for us. What are we specifically going to do for each other in Black America? Like, we have the potential. We got the consciousness. We got the type of intellect. We got the strength. We got everything. We can't always be mad about other people when we know we're not doing with our best potential and what we got to do in America. So my thing is that let's focus on what the fuck we got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like we need allies, but I can't be mad at somebody that's not going to be an ally versus somebody that's been in this country. I'm going to be more mad at you, brother, because you know better. You hear me? You supposed to do better. I expect you to do better. So I'm looking at you to be able to come into contact with what we got going on rather than what we got to say about another type of people. That's what they got going on. At the end of the day, do I expect them people to do what they need to do? Hell yeah, I do. I wake up in the morning every day wishing that we can all come together. But I look at my people in America specifically and say, what our ancestors put blood, sweat, and tears for, we got to have more pride in that. We can't expect other people to have more pride in something that we come from. I think that's a disservice when we expect other people to have more pride in something that they might have not been a part of. Do they have a certain aspect in it? Yeah, that's true. But we have to have more pride in that. We got to be the ones to say, like, nah, I'm not about to let this shit happen. Like, once we come with that example, I think we're going to be able to change some shit, you hear me? Because we showing people like, nah, nigga, this is how we standing on it. We standing on business. Like, let's be the example that we always been. We always been putting on. Yeah. But I just know Black Americans is tired, so I get it. I ain't gonna lie, I get it.
Yeah, but you know, I agree with you on. And I've always been clear about my position as being a Black American person. I think we are the most excellent group of Black people on the planet. I mean, we have a claim to that in terms of us being able to create Black culture. I think Black culture globally was created by Black Americans, specifically Black people from the United States of America. Nobody could ever take that away from us. Nobody can ever take that away from us, and we deserve the right to be what it is that we want to be, and that's Black Americans. But when we talk about what's taking place at the UN and we talk about Ghana speaking, Ghana is just a voice. There are Black American organizations over there working with the president of Ghana. The NAACP is over there. The Black Caucus is over there as well. Now, a lot of Black American people are taking this position. We don't need the NAACP. We don't need the Black Caucus. Well, who do we need? We're not gonna, none of these fucking dumb FBA niggas going over there and speaking for me. You know, I don't want them speaking for me, and I'm not going to act like I want them speaking for me. We talk about the NAACP and the Black Caucus, regardless of what you think about them as an organization. They have got legislation passed that benefited Black folk in America. The Civil Rights Act, I know in hindsight, it didn't do what it was supposed to do, but they got a job done at that particular time. They felt that they were doing the right thing at that time, based in the resources that they had and the knowledge and information that was available to them. So who do you want standing next to the president of Ghana? A group or organization that's actually got something done, or people who just on social media telling you who they don't like every day? So I get it, man. I understand where you're coming from, Creole, but we have to understand leverage and power and global dominance. We are just people on TikTok, man. These world leaders globally, they know where the power is shifting towards. Look at the way that Iran bucking the United States right now. The United States say peace treaty. Iran say ain't no fucking peace treaty. We are on the Strait of Hormuz. We can do whatever we want to do. If you don't like it, stop us. And if you attack us, we're going to knock the power out in Dubai. Like, these people playing a different game now, man. At some point, imperial rulers will be casted out of Africa. It's only a matter of time. I want people to be clear about something, man. At some point, Africa is going to regain her footing. At that point, the whole fucking game change. When the world is operating off a Bank of Africa, because that's where the resources are, the whole fucking game changed. I don't give a fuck what's been happening the last 200 years. I'm not even talking about the next 10 years. I'm telling you that ultimately Africa is going to be the world's superpower. Africa and China, they're going to marry, and nobody's going to be able to stop them. They're going to dominate the entire globe. The economic system going to be based around Africa's resources and China's ability to manufacture everything else that everybody else in the world need. This shit is, the writing is on the wall. And if you cannot see that, if you can't see that and you want to marry yourself to whiteness, good motherfucking luck. Because one thing about white people, they have white systems, they have a way of allowing themselves to go extinct or allowing their flame to dim almost always out, all way out. They're not smart people. They can see a problem. Look at the way they handling this goddamn war in Iran. These motherfuckers lying saying we won the war. No, the fuck we didn't. But white people have this stupid mentality within them. And if you marry yourself to them, as they go, you're gonna go. I don't give a fuck what's being said right now. I know at some point, Africa is gonna kick white folk out and regain her footing. This is what the continent is gonna do. And at that point, all of that power and wealth that's been stolen and pillaged away from Africa is gonna start to spin inside the continent of Africa. And not only that, the Africans are marrying the Chinese right now in terms of global alliances. Man, the writing on the motherfucking wall. We don't want to acknowledge it because we exist in America right next to these evil ass white folk in America who've been destroying the rest of the world. This bitch gon' fall. Prepare yourself for it. America gonna fall one day. Yeah, that means some of us gonna get caught under the rubble as well. We are Black Americans. So if you're gonna take pride in this shit, man, take pride in all of it. But don't be an idiot. Get that good information and know what it is that you need to do to be able to protect yourself or help move yourself forward. There's only so much we can do as Black Americans, Creole. There's only so much we can do, man. Why? We don't own any systems. We don't own any land. We don't own any resources. We fighting for everything that we want and need from the porch, which is a rental property. We are renters in America, man. We are renters. We don't have anything to bargain with, bro. The fact that we've even been able to accomplish as much as we've accomplished as Black American people, I think that in itself is profound. We have literally made something out of nothing.
So, Caso, do you think patriarchal is the problem or white supremacy? Or do you think they both run hand in hand?
No, capitalism is capitalism. Capitalism is the problem. Most of the evils taking place on the planet right now is because of capitalism and dominant white systems. I'm not saying that I want to see a communist system. I feel I'm a socialist at heart. I don't think it's logical for us to believe that we're gonna turn American capitalism into socialism at some point. I don't think that'll ever happen. So I think we have to be more of a participant in capitalism. But most of these issues being caused by it. It's like,
that's true.
How do you solve a problem when your very existence or the benefits of how you're able to exist come from the problem itself? So I think this capitalism thing and Black folk in America thing, it's a tricky thing, man. The only thing that I can see, honestly, Creole, is we go straight into the system and we become full participants in capitalism. I don't think we have the power or authority to overthrow it. So I wouldn't even waste my time with that belief. You got it, brother. You can finish up. I cut you off a couple times.
No, you good. No, I agree with you, Caso. I ain't gonna lie. I agree with you. I just also understand that patriarchy is basically, like, when it comes down to what's going on with men leadership, sometimes we got to just be real as men. Patriarchy, as basically, it developed before religious forms. So that was around 10, 12,000 years before any type of religious system that was set up. And I believe that a lot of men specifically, it don't matter what color you is as a man, I do specifically believe that a lot of men adopt a certain type of ideology where they put other people at the bottom and their selves at the top. And I believe that patriarchal system sometimes can also be a problematic system to us as Black people in the general. Even though white supremacy comes out of patriarchy, I believe white supremacy is a mock or a trade-off of tribalism. I believe tribalism versus religion kind of in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? I just believe one is just more building it and making it worse versus one that still is problematic. And I believe that problematic of that origin is patriarchy. And that's male leadership. And I think sometimes as men, we got to address the male leadership when it comes down to us as men. Like, it's time for men to just give it away. I love being a soldier. I think being a soldier, being a warrior is more prevalent for my steeds as a man. It's me as a black man. I like being able to take orders and looking up and being a leader in certain aspects. I like being a type of man that can just be balanced, right? Where you just have everything on your shoulders and you just waiting on one slip up and everything is... No, I think that comes down to the way that they taught us what leadership is in this system. I believe that's a part of patriarchy. And patriarchy is male leadership. And male leadership can be toxic no matter the color. So you can have an African, like what I just saw in Nigeria. You got them Africans out there in Nigeria. I think they said something about you can't come out during these times. They did some type of crazy thing out there in Nigeria. And that has nothing to do with white supremacy because Africans are the ones that's in power over there. Mm-hmm. But it's patriarchy that has their mindset thinking a certain way. And I believe patriarchy, capitalism, and religion has taken seep into the minds of men. And that's what's causing them to run rampant and move the way that they move.
Yeah, I'm on par with you when it comes to how you feel about the patriarch. I feel the same way. If a woman is qualified enough to lead, she should be able to lead. Women should have the same opportunities that men have. I just think overall, when you look at the track record of men in general over the last 500 years, men have failed, man. Men have failed to do what's necessary to push humanity forward. And we're kind of in this stagnant state. And it's because men are showing that men are backstabbers. We are self-serving. We lack the right amount of humanity to lead in a lot of cases. And we have to call failure what it is. We fail, whether it's black men or white men. I think just globally, over the course of at least the last 500 years, men have been extreme failures. So I'm with you when it comes to the patriarchy and leading by default. I don't think men should lead by default. I think your qualifications and what you're well equipped to do should determine if you can lead or not. And women should be excluded from that based on the fact that they're women. Now, Covey, I saw y'all come to you. Give me 1 second. Abba, we got Abba, Ayana again, and then if Birdie need to get in here, you can. Skeptic, whenever you get back, just let me know. Go ahead, Abba. Try to hold that thought for me, Covey.
Y'all set up the perfect segue because that's the thing. This UN resolution is literally showing us the global effort for human unity. When you and Skeptic started this black and brown unity thing, Casso, that's what I'm saying. It's bigger than race. It's bigger than patriarchy. It's bigger than sex. It's bigger than everything except humanity because that's the fundamental baseline. From the beginning of our evolution to today, every issue that we have caused ourselves has been because somebody in a position of authority or power had an ulterior motive that wasn't a grand view of humanity. It was a selfish identity. I'm a man. I should be able to treat this woman like this. I'm in power. I should be able to treat these people like this. When in totality, the only thing that you can do to ensure the safety and the reality of your legacy is to promote all humanity. If you're the type of person to disenfranchise or dehumanize another group of people, then you can't whine when those people rise up against you and your legacy, because that's the epitome of what you caused. If you vote against humans being able to feed themselves, there are going to be other humans who look at you and say, bitch, you deserve to starve. If you say it's all right for me to touch kids, it's going to be another human who says it's all right for me to put these hands on you too. And that has been the legacy of especially what we're witnessing today with the quote unquote global dominant group. They refused to once they got to a position of militarized and political power, they literally could have been like, hey, we're going to correct all of our wrongs and we're going to guide humanity into the best possible future that it can have. That way everyone can look at us as a beacon, as a shining light, as the people who brought humanity to the relevance and to the greatness that it could be. Instead, they were like, we're going to wield this sword and we're going to go out here and attack anybody, even innocents. And that's the problem. These people who opposed this resolution are the inhumane people. That's why when you look at your blaggers, laggers, your FBA, all these people who are in support or who are in support of inhumanity or who are opposed to what this UN resolution is laying a baseline to, it's because their psychology is, if you give me the same power that these people have, I'm going to act just like them. I'm going to be evil. I'm going to be a creature. I'm going to be a cretin, and I'm going to abuse this authority. And all this UN resolution is saying, we have 123 leaderships that are representative, and they are saying we denounce inhumanity now. That's all this is.
No, that's facts, bro. Y'all tap the screen for me. Do the daily hard me if you hadn't done it. I'm gonna drop you down. Professor, I'm gonna drop you down. Both of y'all jump back in the queue. I'm gonna rotate y'all. Just jump right back in the queue, and when the spots open up, I'll let y'all right back in. Where we with this? Ayana, you want to chime in? But you right, Abu. You right. And people are they are showing us. It's clear. It's obvious. The nations who voted against this, that should tell you where they stand in terms of morally and spiritually how it is that they view black folk. There's no reason that any nation should have voted against the transatlantic slave trade being the gravest crime against humanity. I get it. There are other instances where a bunch of people were unalived historically, but just the lasting impact of this, because unalivement is final. It's a final thing. When you get unalived, that's supposed to be the end of it. That's the finish line. Not chattel slavery, not the transatlantic slave trade. You're talking about something that lasted for 300 years. You're talking about something that's still echoing in black communities in America and across the black diaspora or African diaspora right now today. What happened then is still echoing today in our community. So just the lasting impact of it, it has to go down as one of the worst things or one of the worst crimes ever committed against humanity. Again, for the foundation of black people, man, you have to look at your allies and look at your enemies. You, as a black American, there is no way that you should view dominant white society as your ally or friend here in America. I'm not saying you can't marry. I'm not saying you can't date. I'm not saying you can't have friends and coworkers you like it. You can do whatever you want in terms of coexisting. But you have to understand, when it comes to a dominant white power structure, the power structure itself has been put in place for the betterment and constant advancement of white society. The system does not care about black people. It's not about good white people individually. The system has been wired in a way that allows whiteness to thrive and black folks to constantly be reduced and questioned. So when you look at the UN and you look at this resolution that they came to, you have to look at Mexico, man. You have to look at the fact that Mexico voted yes. Mexico said yes, the transatlantic slave trade is the gravest crime against humanity, and those people deserve reparations. That's what the leadership down in Mexico said. I don't give a fuck about a coconut on the ground level who don't like black folk. I don't care about this shit. And y'all, too often, we get caught up in what just average Joes at a street level think. Nobody give a fuck about what a nigga say who work at Amazon. No disrespect, y'all gotta get y'all money too, but nigga, I ain't listening. Motherfucker, you gotta go home and lay down. You gotta be up at 4 o'clock and putting them work boots on again. And you need to worry about them damn robots taking your job. For me, it's hey, what is it that the leadership in that particular space and place is saying? The leadership over in Ghana, the leadership in Mexico, leadership in Canada, these people are saying, yes, this was a crime against humanity. Yes, these people deserve reparations. If your leadership speaking and talking like that, oh, you're an ally to me. That's why I say I'm cool with the Mexicans. I don't have no problem with the Mexican Americans. When I look at Mexican Americans, 7 out of 10 Mexican Americans, I already vote the way black people vote. So we really gonna be cooking with fire once we get past it or beyond that language barrier. So you mean to tell me 7 out of 10 Mexican Americans already vote with the black vote? And then the Mexican Americans just voted yes at the UN in terms of slavery been the biggest crime against humanity and black Americans deserving reparations. Man, ain't shit you can tell me about a Mexican American. Fuck all this shit y'all talking about, man. Mio taco, please. Me. 3. Well, fuck it, 6. I'm going today and I'm gonna give me 6 of them. Fuck what y'all talking about. You can't tell me who you think I should ally up with. It don't work like that. I'm looking at your works. And when I look at the works of the Mexican people, there's no reason for me to stand against them. Now, when I look at the work of dominant white society in America, shit, I'm cool. We can be cool, but you gotta stay over there. You gotta stay over there. Skeptic, you need to chime in here. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to say, like, I'm not surprised when I look at the list and all of the countries that were opposed to it and the countries that agreed to it. I see a lot of Latin American countries that also voted yes. I see a lot of European countries that either abstained from voting or said no, like, you know, we have the United States, and Canada was one that abstained, which I thought was kind of surprising to me. But it doesn't surprise me at the same time, because you see European nations saying either we don't want any parts of this or saying no, or there is not real countries saying no. So an interesting thing about it is the fact that, and again, I'm gonna say this again, I have no issue with FBA. If anything, I, you know, have been part of like a community that is FBA, and my family is FBA. So I think like the interesting thing is that the lineage aspect of it, I think, is a good thing. I think when it comes to division and the fact that they were hijacked by the conservatives and they were pushed forward by the MAGA movement was a negative thing. Like they should have never allowed for that. If you want to trace back the lineage and know about your ancestry, go for it. I think it's a great thing. But I think it's the fact that division starts coming in that's bad.
No, you're right. And I would go Ayana then back to Cubby. What if they said, you're right, this did happen, and we're sending $1 million checks out tomorrow for all of the descendants of people who are on those ships? Now, I know that dominant white society is evil. And I know that dominant white society, anybody melanated, they tossed them out there in those fields. So you have to understand, anybody with some melanin back then, they would enslave your ass. They didn't care about you having a blowout in your hair. They didn't care about your hair being silky smooth or curly. If your hair was black, you hit in the field. But what if the UN did secure a bag? And they said, yeah, all of the direct descendants of folk who on them ships. What about all you foundation of Negroes who so-called say you weren't on the ships? You wouldn't get paid. Yeah, it wouldn't be anything in it for you. So you have to be careful what you ask for and how you ask for it, man. I want reparations for all black people across the diaspora, period. Anybody black who's been done wrong in a system of whiteness, I want you to get some reparations. But for all of you, the boats not real folk, what if they start handing out checks right now today based on who came off the boats? All of a sudden, you niggas that have a relative on the boat. You ain't gonna lie to me like you go, nah, all of a sudden, you niggas that have a relative who's on the boat. My great auntie, 10 times back, I had an auntie on that boat. No, nigga, I thought you were here first. See, now you gotta go back to court. You gotta fight your claim in terms of the black folk who were enslaved, who were not brought here on a boat. So, man, you gotta shut your mouth sometimes. Just be black. Sometimes all you gotta do is just shut your goddamn mouth and be black. Again, if I saw a Jamaican in a reparations line, I ain't gonna snitch and say, that's Jamaican. I'm gonna turn my motherfucking head. I might smile and man, get your money. You a bad motherfucker. I don't know what you did or how you did, but you did it. And I'm okay with it. Why? Because this is what white folks do. This is what dominant white society do. They steal, and when it's time to hold white folk accountable, they turn their head. I didn't see anything. Lord Jesus, he stole how much? Whole time they lying. He stole it and sent them a little bit of it. We got this snitch on another slave mentality as black folk. Massa, look, ooh, I ain't snitching on shit. Don't knock on my door. A detective ain't gonna get nowhere with me. Where were you last night? Sleep? Yeah, it's not even possible for me to have seen anything. I was dreaming. My eyes were closed all night. I was sick. Yeah, I'm never helping these people. I'm never helping them. I'm trying to figure out how we can get more out the system as black people. The more we get, the better. I don't give a fuck if we get it the right way or the wrong way, as long as we get it. Ayana, and then Birdie if you need to. Then Covey on commentary, I know you've been waiting. And then I'm gonna come down to you, Swan.
Okay, I got a few minutes, but I wanted to say to the people who are asking why do black people have to ask for reparations? Why can't they just give it to us? Why do we have to go to the UN? Why does the world have to say it's okay? The Japanese people got reparations for World War II internments because the world finally agreed that the United States should pay the Japanese reparations. It wasn't just because the United States was like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should give them some money for the wrongs we did to them. No, they had to go around the world and gather support from the entire developed world to agree to condemn what happened, number one, and then to agree to pay the Japanese. They had to do the same with the Holocaust. HCOS survivors. They had to get the other nations on board, the other developed nations on board, before anybody would condemn it, before anybody would say, yes, they deserve to be paid something. I don't know why we think we're special. I don't know why we think we just show up and somebody's going to write us a check. Do they do that now? They're going to do it for past wrongs. But what disgusts me even more, is that we are so arrogant. We are so arrogant about this that we think we are the only ones who suffered. And I think somebody else mentioned this. We think we're the only ones who suffered. We think we're the only ones who suffered. Think about the families of the people who were sold or kidnapped, missing their daughters and their sons and their fathers and their mothers, who were literally, had their lineage literally cut off because their people were taken from West Africa and brought to the Americas. What about those people? What about their families? What about their tribes, their communities? Should we not consider them too? We're not the only ones who suffered. And so it makes sense that we would do this collectively. It makes sense. I think it makes sense. I mean, I could be wrong, but it just makes sense to me. So all of this talk about we shouldn't have to rely on this and we shouldn't have to rely on that and da. We do. You think we don't? Okay, fine, but we do. This is how the game is played. This is how this is going to happen. But it starts with what Ghana is doing. What Ghana's been working on this for decades, by the way. This isn't just something they decided in 2026. And it started with recognizing slavery as a crime against humanity to begin with, because that wasn't even a crime against humanity. And the United Nations had to condemn it. And then they came up with this day, this International Day of Remembrance for the victims of slavery. It always starts small. All substantial change starts incrementally, starts very small. And you got to be comfortable with that. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything. Yeah. If you want the big ball right when you get into the game, what you going to do with it? You don't know how to handle the big ball. You start with the little one. And then you work your way up to the big one.
My thing is, what, in terms of Black American leaders, they have to do something. You can't sit around talking about, all of this shit. You can't sit around just having conversations about reparations. Anybody can have a conversation. A goddamn Taiwanese person can sit at the table and just yap about reparations. That don't mean shit. What are you going to do? And if you're not going to do anything, then you have to sit back, be quiet, and allow other people who are willing to do something, do a thing. You're right, Creole, you gotta get active, man, and they're not getting active. And Ayana, you made a lot of sense. We do have a lot of arrogance as Black American people, but it's earned arrogance. We've earned the right to be arrogant, but you gotta have something to back that arrogance up. You can't lead your people off into the abyss and not have a backup plan or no real foundation to what it is that you're trying to do. We have done amazing things in America as Black American people. We've done fantastic things. We did give the world Black American culture, but that's not enough. We've done our part as Black Americans. Guess what? We changed the image of Black people globally. Why do you think they love Black people over in Europe? Specifically Black American people, because in Europe, African folk are still running into some trouble. But I've been to 3 countries in Europe. They love the fuck out of Black American people. And that changed during World War I and World War II. We went over to Europe. All participants in the Harlem Renaissance period began going over to Europe. And they showed Europe that, hey man, those Black folk over in America specifically, these people are fantastic. These people are talented. Whether it's Langston Hughes, whether it's jazz musicians, whether it's Jesse Owens, winning all the races he won at the Berlin Olympics. Like we, Black American people, we changed the image of Black folk globally because they had twisted and skewed the image of African folk for so many years and just made them out to be jungle folk, even though that's not true. And we know the Africans weren't just jungle folk because everything that they had great, they stole it, took it to Europe and put it in a museum and said, look at how great this crown was. Look at how great this artifact is. I thought you said they were in mud huts. You got a fucking gold crown with all sorts of diamonds and rhinestones and shit in it. But they didn't, I thought they were in huts. So the European people did a fantastic job of destroying the image of Africans globally. We came in on the back end of that as Black Americans and reintroduced Blackness to the globe as something prominent and proficient. So nobody can ever take away what we've done for Black America, for the African diaspora. But we have to be clear about that. When people get to saying diaspora, you got to know what the definition of diaspora. Africa will have the diaspora. You say a Black diaspora, that would mean Black people from America going and overly populating the rest of the world. And we just don't see that enough for me to be comfortable saying Black diaspora. So the African diaspora. But what we did as Black America, James Baldwin too, you right, Bert. That's one of my favorite humans ever is James Baldwin. But what we did for the image of Blackness globally, nobody can take that away from Black American people. But we need allies outside of the United States. We need allies who have ownership of something. We need someone to go to the table with us with some bargaining power. Again, Covey stated earlier, Africa's still going through a lot. I get that. But what I see 20, 30 years from now is the entire continent of Africa being a global powerhouse. And why wouldn't we want to have it on our side as Black American people if we're fighting for something that we feel like we owe? Never exclude that sort of power from being a part of your circle, man. We have to wisen up. We have to wise up, man. We have to wise up, and this diaspora war shit, it's exhausting, and it's just, overall, it's just counterproductive in terms of what it is that we need to do as a collective of people. It's counterproductive. Ayana, you can land at Ayana, then Birdie, then Covey.
I just wanted to kind of correct Birdie a little bit. James Baldwin didn't run to Europe. James Baldwin was a gay Black man living in segregated America. And where was it easier to just be yourself at? Paris, France.
Yeah.
That was an open culture. They love Black people. They love Black artists. I mean, they may have been colonizing parts of Africa, but you could be yourself in Europe. You didn't have to hide your sexuality in France, and you still don't. Parts of the United States, you can't come out anywhere. You can't even come out to your own family, but you could do that in France.
Right,
sorry.
No, you can land it there, Ayana, but I want you to go beyond that point. I'm gonna get back to you. I know you came up late, so I'm gonna make sure I get back to you quickly. You can go ahead and land it. Go ahead, you got it.
No, I just wanted to make that point. That's all.
Yeah. I think overall, we just get exhausted as Black people, and we start to reach for whatever we can grab on to. Most of the Black American leaders, you find that at the end of their life, they had experienced burnout and exhaustion. There's an interview of Miles Davis, and I think he was boarding a plane or something, or just getting off a plane. And they were doing an interview of Miles Davis. This is later in life when he had the long hair. And Miles Davis was just like, I'm exhausted with whiteness. He was like, I hate hearing white people talk. I hate everything about it.
I meant when I said James Baldwin ran to Europe. But I wanted to tie something to what Covey said earlier. I think the only reason it's gonna ever work is if we, as Black people, use some sort of new collective action and communal ownership type of model instead of capitalism. You get where I'm coming from? We got to push away from the limitations of capitalism and try to do some sort of communal thing when we talk about investing with each other, from the diaspora to Africa. It can't be the same model of take advantage of people. So whenever I speak of that type of marriage, I always think of some new model outside of capitalism, where somebody has to lose in order for somebody to win. I'd rather, we all win in some smaller way instead of somebody, losing for others to gain. So that's always my mentality when I think of collaborating with Africa. It's never, let's take advantage of people. We got enough resources for everybody to get a little bit and grow. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, but I mean,
So I just wanted to tie that to what Covey had said earlier.
Yeah, you coming from a place of a person with a genuine heart, Bertie. I think just overall we've romanticized capitalism in a way to whereas it's appealing to all people. See, black folk I'll say back during the 60s, 50s, 40s, we didn't have much. So it was easy to get black people to gather around this idea of socialism because we were already in community. We were already forced to share things with each other because we were restricted. But now, again, capitalism has been romanticized in a way to where everybody want a piece of it. Everybody want to hold the whip now. This is how you get your FBAs who are xenophobic, because there are a lot of FBA people who are not xenophobic. So I have to start stating it in a way that's fair. There are a lot of foundational Black American people who are not xenophobic, and they're attracted to the idea of tracing their lineage, and they have the right to be there. So I'm not going to keep putting this blanket on FBA like all of them are xenophobic, because all of them aren't. But it's extremely romantic to think that one day I can hold the whip. And it doesn't matter even if you're at the top of the system, as long as you just get your hands on the whip. And now you see a lot of black people, man, they can hold their whip in terms of how undocumented migrants specifically are being dealt with. And I think that's the most problematic aspect of moving away from capitalism and towards socialism or any other sort of system. That's why I say the only realistic option is going straight into the system. Black people becoming American capitalism as well. I think we would do more right than wrong with capitalism. Dominant white society has done more wrong than right with a system of capitalism. It's not written in economic law that you have to do wrong with a system of capitalism. I get it. It was built on slavery. I understand all of that. But I think righteous people do righteous things. The majority of folk who dominate this current system of capitalism, they are not righteous people, man. They are gonna overly exploit and do the wrong thing. When you look at Elon could give up majority of that shit away and say, hey man, I'm cool with a few $1 billion. He could do that if he was righteous inside. When we look at history and we look at Mansa Musa, everybody got their different take on Mansa Musa. I look at Mansa Musa and I say, hey, he had to be existing in some sort of system of dominance or capitalism or economic dominance for him to have that much wealth to give out. But look at what the richest man in the world back then did with his wealth in comparison to the richest man in the world today. The richest man in the world back then traveled globally and collapsed economies because he was giving this shit away. He was giving out too much money. I just don't think that we would do the same thing if we dominated a system of capitalism in terms of what it is that white society has done with the system of capitalism. I just don't feel like we do the same thing. Cover, you got it, then Storm. And then DeMarcus, I'm gonna get you man.
Okay. Oof, what to address? This is a brilliant conversation, by the way, Casa. I just wanted to say that. Firstly, I wanted to talk to Ayana, right? I think, so Europe is exactly as racist as America is, right? The only difference here with, let's say, a Black American person who goes to Europe is because a Black American person will never pose a threat to the national identity, right? Because you will always be the them. Whereas a Black European is going to face deeper structural exclusion because their very existence as a Black European is challenging the national identity of a European country, right? And Johnny Pitts, who's a Black British man, writes about this in a book called Afropean, which he talks about Black Europeans. Brilliant book. If you want to understand like the Black perspectives in Europe, I would highly recommend people to read that book, right? So in other words, right, if you are seen as temporary, you're going to be less threatening to ideas like who belongs here, who is truly French, who is truly German, who is truly Italian. And because Black Americans moving there are always going to be viewed as the quote unquote outsider, you're going to be exoticized, you're going to be welcomed as a guest. But the moment you start threatening that national identity, which what a Black European person does, that's when you're going to have like a very different experience. And also, being American carries cultural capital, whether it's media, wealth, global influence, right? So sometimes that racism doesn't disappear, but it can be filtered through class and nationality, right? So that's why you might have a different experience in Europe than a Black European would. Because within Europe, I'll tell you right now, police brutality is the same thing, medical apartheid is the same thing, unaliving is the same thing, right? It's the same racist system. Black people globally experience and live within that apartheid system, whether it is in Africa, whether it is in the diaspora as well, right? So that's one thing I wanted to address. Another thing I wanted to address was to Creole, right?
That's facts, though.
Yeah. So the idea of Black Americans needing to isolate and themselves and rely only on themselves, it might sound very empowering, like surface level, but historically and structurally, it's very dangerous. It's also hella anti-Black. Not saying that you're anti-Black, right? But the idea that, oh, you need to, it's kind of like tied to the whole, you need to lift yourself up by the bootstraps. We can free ourselves, all that stuff, right? Because the systems that actively shape Black life, whether it is racism, capitalism, empire, are all global systems. And if they're all global systems, the resistance has to also be global, right? Because the domestic imperialism that Black Americans feel, right, cannot be cured through isolation, because Black Americans themselves are a part of a global struggle, not necessarily a domestic minority issue. So being fragmented and being isolated is going to harm you more. I'm just saying. So it doesn't mean that you have to prioritize other groups of people. It doesn't mean that you are not going to depend on yourself as well. But it means that if you don't engage in Black internationalism, you're also going to be isolated, fragmented, and easier to conquer and easier to rule over, because fragmentation is what these colonizers depend on, right? They need fragmentation to happen so they can colonize and rule over different groups of Black people. So think globally. That's what Huey P. Newton said. Think globally, act locally. So you can continue acting within your system locally, within your community, but you still have to think globally, right? And lastly, Casa, I'm going to disagree with you on this one, but it's okay. A healthy disagreement.
No, go
and
ahead.
it has to do, yeah, it has to do with capitalism. Okay. Capitalism. I'll give you an analogy. It's like you buy a car, right? You buy this nice car, and that car runs on a specific type of fuel, right? And it would be an oxymoron to claim, oh, I support ending fossil fuels, but I also want this car to keep running exactly as it does right now. And that is what capitalism is, right? The fuel that is needed to run the machine of capitalism is enslaved labor, prison labor, underpaid global Black and brown labor, and dispossession and Black death. Black people need to die. They need to continue dying in order for capitalism to continue. The moment that Black people stop dying, capitalism completely crumbles, because it's the foundation of that house. And when we're talking about Black liberation is a demand to stop supplying that fuel, because capitalism runs on the blood of Black people, right? So we can never, first of all, we will never ever be allowed to run capitalism. Capitalism will never allow that, because civil society as we know it today and capitalism is dependent on us dying. And so in order to achieve Black liberation, capitalism also needs to be dismantled. It cannot be both. It cannot be achieved at the same time.
Right. I'm gonna respond to you and say this, Covey. My perspective is a little bit different, than that when it comes to capitalism. I believe that the people who are willing to be dominant over other people and willing to do things that most people wouldn't do, those people are going to control the system of capitalism. I think white people control the system because white people have shown us that they are willing to do to us what we're not willing to do to them. Black people don't have to exist at the bottom of capitalism, at least not modern day capitalism. We choose to, because we refuse to exploit other groups of people the way that they exploit us. We could flip this thing, and another group of people could be at the bottom. Asian American people could be at the bottom of this system of American capitalism if black people were willing to exploit them just as much as they exploit us. So I don't think black bodies have to swing for capitalism to operate. Now, at the beginning, maybe at the inception of capitalism, term chattel slavery, yeah, black bodies were needed and black unalivement was a part of it. But I feel that if black people, if we were willing to exploit others just the same, we would be able to thrive just like other groups of people. Ultimately, someone is going to have to suffer in the system of capitalism because there is a level of exploitation that takes place. But even when you look at exploitation in capitalism, if the job is paying 40 and you're asking for 20 and the market says you're worth 25, I think the exploitation come in terms of like prison labor, that sort of thing. What is a person worth? When you had a conversation in terms of what a person is worth and then what are you able to get for that job that person is doing, is that fair? I think there can be a level of fairness in capitalism. Greed, especially when it comes to white men and greed is what really make it almost unbearable for the people at the bottom of capitalism. But if a job can pay 40, man, and a person in the market says that person worth 20, 25, hey, who am I to go against that? What's the likelihood of us toppling this system of capitalism in our lifetime? I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's possible. So if it's not possible for you to completely change it, then you have to become a part of it. And if you don't want to become a part of it, I'm talking about black people here in the United States of America. If we don't become a part of capitalism in America, we're going to continue to be the doormat in this system of capitalism. And that's just the only way it's going to be. Men far greater and wiser than me have tried this socialism thing here in America, and all of them got sent away. All of them were unalived. So for me, it's like you have to go into the burning building. This is I feel this is just what it is.
Could I add on to what you're saying?
Yeah, you can.
Because I think the analogy is a good one. I think that you can go to a hybrid which is what America has done. America's capitalistic way of thinking has changed over time. We have ways in which the means of production are not owned by the collective, right? By people. But when you look at societies like China, they tend to have this hybrid that are privately owned, and then there are companies that are ran and are owned by the government. Because essentially when you go more towards a socialist economy, you're speaking of the ownership of those private companies being owned by the collective or being owned by the nation, right? By the government, which ultimately is who's in charge of that nation. So I think as a whole, America, and as we continue to grow, as our population begins to no longer be the minority, which we're looking at births, right? So the minority births are now have larger numbers than the white T births. So I think this is what they're fighting. This is what this regime that is in power now is fighting against, because they understand that once we start gaining power, and by doing so, we have to come into ownership of companies. We need to become the means of productions. And I don't believe that when we come in power, we're going to do the same things that they were doing while they were in charge. And so I think they want this ethno-nation, right? Where they want the white T people to be the ones that are the majority. They cannot stop the fact that that's no longer going to be true. And I think that some socialist ideas can be beneficial and they can be done in a way that are going to be successful. But I think in other aspects, allowing for people to have ownership of private industries and companies and have this free market can still work.
Facts. I want to say this. I'm going to give you people in the chat. I'm going to be fair and give y'all a chance. And I'm going to ask y'all nicely, especially y'all who don't follow me, you never been in my live, you never supported. I'm going to ask you nicely, shut the fuck up, and then the mods just going to start muting you, hitting that mute button beyond their point. I don't care what y'all agree with in terms of my take or my perspective. It's not based on what y'all think or believe. I think a good majority of you motherfucking folk on these apps working for white people. Don't come in this bitch trying to get your perspective off. I don't give a fuck. And I want you to know one thing about me. I'm the type of nigga that enslaved motherfuckers. So when I talk about black people going into a system of capitalism, nigga, I'm talking about us doing everything to everybody else that they did to us. Yeah, I'm not a righteous nigga. I don't give a fuck about others being enslaved. If it's to the betterment of black people, nigga, I'm with it. See, that's the motherfucking problem. That's why we get dominated globally. You niggas too nice. You brown folk too fucking nice. Y'all think y'all gonna play a motherfucking game. You think These white folk gonna let you take capitalism and turn it into socialism? They'll put your fucking head on a pike. I'm telling you to go into the system and exploit everybody else who don't look like you if that's what's needed. I'm not a righteous nigga, so don't be looking for a righteous take from me. I tried to be civilized with my take, but I want you to understand exactly where I'm coming from. I enslave a motherfucker. For a profit, I do it. Why? Because they did it to us. For 500 motherfucking years, we've been at the bottom of capitalism getting stepped on. And you nice ass niggas gonna let these people keep their boot on your goddamn head. These fucking monsters. You niggas wanna read poetry to beast. These are actual fucking beasts. Man, y'all better wake the fuck up. Y'all put whip on somebody's back. All you righteous ass niggas, y'all can keep getting dominated. Creole, you had a question for Covey. You can do that if you need to, brother.
Fuck all that. That's real nigga shit, Casa, what you just said, brother. At the end of the day, when it boils down to it, look, I ain't with that bullshit neither. Motherfuckers be out here playing. They playing games. A lot of people playing. They just running their mouth. You right, nigga. I'm with that same shit, nigga. Everybody could get enslaved when it come down to black people. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. You right. That's a fact, brother. That whole moral fake concept that we try to hold on with each other is the reason why we be in last place. I gotta be right. I gotta be loving. I just gotta say the right thing where everybody agree with me. Like, nigga, fuck all that. You need to know how to be disagreeable. You need to know how to accept that people are going to disagree with you and they're not going to like you. If you don't know how to get into that type of energy, then you're going to be the type of person that's just going to be subservient to everything that you hear. Because you ain't got no moral principles. You ain't got no fucking foundation. And that's a lot of black people nowadays. You just want to sound right and be right. Fuck being right. Just do what it takes to win. And I think that's what we lose. Man, do what it takes to win. You already a righteous person. When you understand what we've been able to accept as black people in America over 400 years, man, you can't tell me we ain't right. Oh, it's all about being righteous. Nigga, fuck all that shit. At the end of the day, men hold majority of top political leadership roles worldwide.
All of a sudden, we gonna be you get a piece of bread, you get one, but look at you, little white person in the back. Piece of bread, man, fuck all that. I want everybody bread. Give it up. I give you niggas a water sandwich. I dip some motherfucking bread in water and eat that. I'm on that. These people have exploited us for hundreds of fucking years. And now that the pendulum is swinging and black and brown people are due to become a majority class in America, all of a sudden we gonna wake up and introduce socialism. Man, fuck socialism. I'm for American capitalism. I want black people at the top of it. I don't give a fuck what happened to the folk at the bottom. I can't feel it. Please, you're squashing us. We can't breathe. Man, I don't give a fuck. Put two more on top of them. Like, bro, I'm just there. Like, I try to have civilized conversation, but I want y'all to know who I am, bro. I don't give a fuck about exploiting other people. I will do it. All of it. Everything but graping and bothering kids, anything outside of that, man, I'm on board for it.
Hold on, Caso. We've been so desensitized to this shit. That's the problem. See, our great-great-grand ancestors that lived through this shit, that was really getting tied to two different horses and run to two different ways, using our babies and our people as alligator bait. See, you got to understand, if we really seen that shit, man, it would have been on site. Like, we got to understand that this shit's still in our blood, brother. That's what I call epigenetics. That's what I call what people don't understand, what the white people still have. If they the slave masters and you was a slave, then everything that you went through over the past 100 years still up in you, you hear me? So don't give me all this innocent talk about what the white man is and how he a good person. If that's the same person that's reincarnated from the same slave masters that done some shit to my great-great-grandmother, I don't want to hear all this loving shit now. Niggas always want to talk love when it's time for you to get your get back. And that's why I don't like doing this politics shit, because this shit always try to make you morally correct. And then now it takes you out to a whole nother compass. Now you got to start saying the shit that the people like. You got to get away from what you know naturally is really correct. Something that's going to protect you, your people, and your family. Now you got to say the shit that's morally correct with social society. Everything that society love to hear. You got to make sure that you sound right and loving to these people, because if you don't, you get canceled or you look like an extremist or a supremacist. Whole time, everybody that done shit to your ancestors and your people, you got to just let it go and be forgiven. While they eating off the back of this shit still to this day. Everybody eating off of this shit.
And we're going to be clear about something. Nobody's arguing whether capitalism is right or wrong. We got to get the understanding. We know that capitalism is wrong. We know. What's the likelihood of the people with no power in a system changing that system and reintroducing a new system of fairness? That means we, as black people, we're going to have to take all of the accumulated wealth in America and redistribute it. Come on, man. Come on, man. You better grab your motherfucking whip and get the whipping back. That's the best you're going to get out this system. Swan, it's on you. So, I mean, and it's just an open dialogue, y'all. We know that capitalism is wrong. Creole, we know. Creole know, I know. Capitalism is wrong. What we telling you is, when it's time for you to do some wrong, you got to be willing to do some wrong. Go ahead, Swan.
Yeah. So, all right. This decision about Ghana going to the UN and wanting the slave trade to be labeled the gravest crime against humanity is 100% a must, because it is, right? And this actually is going to tie directly into what we're talking about now in terms of capitalism, right? The United States of America is a very, very, very unique country, right? That has only ever, right, run on the I think the reason why I'm saying that is because white people, right, they control capitalism in ways that people probably would not even be able to comprehend, right? So now if we're talking about capitalism, right, from a means of survival, then that would be us figuring out to find a way to keep the dollar within the Black community, because it only stays within our community for about 6 hours. 6 hours, right? But it's not going to work. It's not going to liberate us, right? If we want true liberation, then we have to understand that capitalism, because as Kovi said in the comments section, it requires the death of Black people. It requires the unaliving of Black people. There are economists right now, right, who have developed plans who talk about this openly and freely and say that they want Black people on the continent to remain impoverished. They want to continue to G-side Black people on the continent of Africa, right? So they can take the resources and exploit us. We're still being exploited here in the United States. So when we talk about capitalism and we talk about what capitalism requires, that's where the pushback is coming from. Because capitalism is going to always require Black people to unalive. Now, when we talk about China, because somebody brought China up, sure, but does China not participate in the same exploitation that our oppressors participate in? They went to Nigeria, they set up shop, and they told Black people in Nigeria, you can't come in this store. It's Chinese only, right? They've got 15 mines in the Congo. They're the ones that are most responsible for the portion of the Zaire River that runs through the Congo, right? That has been deemed unalived, right? Because of the acid running into the water, right? We could talk about China's presence in the Caribbean. We can also talk about Asian presence here, right? The model minority, right? You're not going to see Asian businesses in white communities, but you will see them in ours, right? Benefiting from our oppression. So understand, right, that China is just as problematic, right? China is just as problematic. They participate in the exploitation of Black people, and that is going to keep us oppressed, right? Now, when we talk about solidarity and the importance for Black American people to know, you don't have to get along with Black people from other places, right? And what I'm saying is you can still work side by side and not perpetuate a level of harm. I understand our experiences here as Black American people, right? Where we have constantly had to reinvent our culture, right? And constantly gatekeep it. We're surrounded by our oppressors. So it makes it very difficult to do that. I can 100% understand, right? But also understand this, okay? European nations, whether they're beefing with each other or not, they understand that when it's time to align themselves so they can continue to have dominance over the entire planet, they remain in alignment, even through the mists of their fights, we've got to get with the program. You don't have to love Black people from other countries, but understand it is imperative, right, for all Black people to understand the power in uniting. It doesn't mean that you have to lose yourself and your culture and your heritage in any way, shape, or form. But understand, as long as the oppressor continues to move like this, and they're a much smaller population on the planet than we are, right? Then we are going to be stuck in the same place. You don't have to love everybody that's Black, but you do need to understand the importance of aligning with other Black people, right? I think that's crucial to Black progression. If we isolate ourselves as Black Americans, that is going to be the antithesis to progression for Black people. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. We have to align ourselves with others. We did that during the Civil Rights Movement. FBA, there's a reason as to why FBA is popping up right now, right? There's a reason why FBA has popped up right now, right? And they have these talking points where they want to align themselves with white power structures in hopes to gain reparations. This is by design. We know that the CIA has had a hand in, right, trying to encourage and pay for institutions, African American institutions, right, so that they can then go take it to the continent, so that there's a Western influence with a Black face on, right, and then continue to profit off of Black people globally. I'll land there for now because I know I just said a lot, but yeah, I'll come back in after other people get a chance to speak.
Yeah, I'm gonna address a couple of those things, Juan. And you know, like I said, it's a good conversation, good open dialogue. Asian Americans are white people. Asian Americans, they come to America and they fully assimilate into a system of whiteness. So I think that the Asian American folk here, who we coexist with, are something entirely different than folk back in China. Also, in terms of the Chinese people and the dealings that they're having in Africa right now, a 99-year lease is not a good deal, but it's also not imperialism. I think if African leaders are wise and smart, they will take that 99-year lease from the Chinese people, get the critical infrastructure that they need, get the military technology that's necessary. And after that 99-year lease is up, they completely cut ties with the Asian countries as well and say, we can stand on our own now. We have modernized our military. We have modernized our banking system. We are the global power right now. And we're going to stand here on our own because Africa, again, is 54 countries. So the African people can ultimately be able to do that. Now, when it comes to capitalism, I just don't think Black people have to unalive in the system of capitalism. Capitalism has its origins in the Middle Ages, 14th, 15th century. We saw capitalism already beginning to take place in Europe. I think capitalism came to America, and the idea of capitalism paired with chattel slavery became a whole different beast and a whole different monster. I look at chattel slavery as being something different than slavery. I look at American capitalism as being something different than the original version of capitalism. If you are a righteous and fair-minded person, again, I'm a socialist at heart. I believe that everybody should be treated equally and fairly. I'm also a realist. The idea of that is not going to work in America because it's not just white people who are in love with the idea of capitalism. Black American people love capitalism as well. African leaders, they love capitalism as well. They've been getting the ass end of the stick on it, but a good majority of the African leaders have shown us they love capitalism. Brown people in America, they love capitalism. So how can you change the identity of a nation of people when all people want to participate in it? What is the American dream? The American dream is you, one individual, rising up through the ranks in terms of capitalism. So for us to act like there's an overwhelming amount of American people who are going to push against capitalism or try and usher in a new system of socialism in this country, it's not realistic, man. I just don't think that's even a viable option. Now, if you're a righteous person and you're a good-spirited person, that's something entirely different. Good people don't run the world. The righteous folk who think everybody should get their fair share, they don't run the world. We are too righteous in our existence as Black people, man. We have to understand we are dealing with monsters who are these people are willing to do whatever is necessary to maintain power and control. You being nice, that's not going to deal with the problem that we have in front of us in terms of dominant white systems. These people are fucking diabolical. These people will wipe you out and take it. So I want to know, how are we going to coexist with the white monsters globally who fuel this system of capitalism and fight that with socialism. How you gonna do that? For us to even be able to do that, an overwhelming majority of people are gonna have to take on this identity of socialism or capitalism or whatever this righteous, fair system is gonna be. I just don't see how you do that. And we've had this mentality. And this is why imperialistic rulers have dominated us for so long. This is why Black and indigenous people are too often colonized, because we too righteous in our spirit. We say, hey, let's just be right. Let's be fair. White people don't look at it that way, man. They're going to fucking exploit you and they're going to unalive you. And if you're not willing to do the same things to them, then you're going to always lose. Everybody want to be politically correct and sound so righteous in their stance. And, oh, socialism, and we have to get rid of that. It's harming people, man. People gonna die anyway. Ain't nothing you gonna do to save all the goddamn people on this planet. Everybody got a due date, and it's coming. I'm trying to see what I can do to live my best life in between these margins. Start, finish. What are we doing in between that as Black people? You gonna spend your whole goddamn life trying to convince everybody else to be righteous and fair towards you, even the people who exploit you? That's insanity. That's insanity. No, I'm going to participate in the system. I'm going to participate in the system. I'm going to make sure the people around me, my community of people, get the best life experience that they can have. Whatever in the afterlife, we'll deal with that in the afterlife. It's on DeMarcus. Then Covey, I'm going to let a couple more people go, and then I'll get back to y'all. I know you're on Skeptic and Chirping. I'm going to let y'all have a conversation. Go ahead, DeMarcus.
Okay, so I think there's a difference between.
Give me a second. Mods, all these Easter Sunday niggas in here, start muting these niggas. Man, you nice ass niggas, go somewhere and get to paint Easter eggs. Go somewhere and watch white Jesus rise on the third day again. Get y'all praying, begging ass out of my motherfucking life. Go wrap some white cloth around your goddamn head. And guess what, bitch? That $300 Verizon phone bill still due, nigga. Socialism ain't gonna get you out of that. Verizon want they 300 in 2 days, nigga. Call them and extend it with your praying ass. Go ahead, bro. The fuck out my shit. Nigga, I'm not a righteous nigga. I got a problem.
I have to do dismissal, Casso, so I will be back in a little bit. I would just want to say this for the chat that's going crazy. We're not advocating for people to be exploited. And if you go and look what a socialistic economy is based off of, is the means of production being owned by either the state or the government, because realistically speaking, who's going to own the means of production? It's not going to be the people. And that would be more of a communist idea, right? Where you have the means of production owned by the people. But in reality, when you look at a socialist economy or a nation, so I use China as an example, parts of the means of production are owned by the state or the government. That's why I used that as an example. But I will be back in like 15 minutes. I have to go do something.
Go ahead, DeMar. No, I'm not with all this shit, man. You nice ass nigga. Go drink some beet juice or something, nigga. Go bathe in the sun or something. You niggas too fucking nice. This is why white men run the world. Everybody deserve a little peace. No. Nigga, I'm telling you niggas I'll do it. If we had to do this whole shit in reverse over the course of the last 400 years, nigga, I'll do it. Yeah, nigga, George Washington, Rico Washington, that's me. I'll go be Rico Washington or something. Keith Washington, Tyrone Washington. I'll do it, nigga. I don't give a fuck what you nice niggas talking about. Niceness ain't helping us as black men. Go ahead, DeMarcus.
So yeah, I think there's a difference between aspirations and actuality, right? Like, I aspire for shit. I think everything should be fucking free. I think you should be able to go into the woods, get some wood, chop it down, make your own house, build a garden, live there, tax-free and unalive there with your family. I don't know what system you call that, right? But I know that that's a fever dream. And I know that this existence is based off of resources. And unfortunately, it's based off of false scarcity. That doesn't mean that we don't have the resources available. That means that we're being stymied from getting to the resources. And it's all based off of hoarding resources. Black people have to hoard resources in order to be able to detach ourselves from any system that is controlled by mostly rich white men with power. And if we cut ourselves off from those resources, we're basically fighting with our hands unalive the dog. They do not care. Like this empathy that we have has to like dwindle. Like I don't know what, like outside of your family, your community, and things that will be the betterment of humanity needs to be cut out. And unfortunately, there's no balance given to us, especially in this country. If we had the resources, yes. If we had the financial backing, if we had the majority of the money in the banks, but we see it's like a $24 trillion versus $100 billion deficit when it comes to white versus black banks. Yeah. We cannot fight with our hands behind our back. So unfortunately, as humane as I am, I'm sorry. If it comes to my community and the betterment of black people and us getting out of oppression, we're going to have to put the gloves. I'm sorry. We're going to have to take the gloves off.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I'm gonna swap you out, DeMar, because I got you. Skip, let me know when you get to your destination. I got you. Man, all you op-ass folks, bro, we just having an open conversation. Y'all so fucking sick and twisted on this bitch. It don't matter if it's the righteous side or the wrong side. Y'all can't have conversations on here without making it a thing. Like, come on, man, y'all gotta get better. I'm gonna let you up, bro. But nigga, you in my comments talking about can Covey talk. Who the fuck you think been speaking the most up here, bro? You niggas be so disingenuous. Yes, she can talk, nigga. She been talking just as much as me. Y'all weird on this fucking app, bro. How long you been in here, nigga? Like, come on, man. You niggas too motherfucking nice for me, man. I ain't the same type of niggas you niggas on TikTok. Fuck definition when it's time. Nigga, the last motherfucking thing you gonna be reaching for is encyclopedia, nigga. You niggas better realize these folk monsters and demons. Keep playing definition games, nigga. Keep thinking you gonna topple white supremacy with socialism. Keep playing. They gonna keep popping niggas top. You niggas too fucking nice. Put some in your backpack and go to the library, man. Let the dogs out this motherfucker for a day or two. Covey, you can jump back in here, Covey. I know you saw a lot you want.
No, it's okay. I can go after.
Fucking Christ when it come to black men. Let the women lead. You hoe ass niggas, y'all too bitched out, man. Go get your hair pressed, man. Go get your feet done. Black men, y'all weak in a motherfucker, bro. Go ahead, Covey.
No, it's okay. I can wait my turn. It's okay, Casso. I can wait my turn.
Can I respond? Let me respond to it right quick, Casso.
My bad, Carol. Yeah, you can jump in. Brother, the docility amongst black men, that shit disgusting to me now.
Talk your shit, bro.
They too fucking weak and docile, bro.
It is. Talk your shit, bro.
Yeah, I like to be able to speak after, though. After it's my turn.
I think Creole wants to respond to you anyway, Covey.
Yeah, Covey. No, because Covey was bringing up imperialism, right? And she brought us soft practice. But I understand that she was basically talking about China in Africa. Yes. Is there a certain aspect of soft practice that they practice when it comes down to economic drives? Basically where like their goal is off the economics and involving the exploitation of resources, labor, and the benefits of basically ruling the nation. I can agree with that. But the real method is utilizing the hard power, which I told you in the comments, which is military power, military intervention, economic pressure. Soft power is basically what you get to have as going to the table. If you go to that motherfucking deals table, you decide to accept that deal, you decided to accept the deal. Nobody pressured you, nobody forced you, nobody used any type of fighting power or physicality to make you accept the deal. Now, is the deal sometimes also the greatest deal? No, it may not be the greatest deal, but you accepted it, and you didn't accept it through military intervention, right? You accepted it, like what you said, through soft power, meaning you had the opportunity to come to the table to be able to make whatever type of opposition of the deal that they oppose towards you. So the forms of imperialism is mostly associated with direct colonization. That's basically exercised through indirect control, right? So you can't, it's a political manipulation type of system. If somebody come towards the deal and you get to be able to accept it, that's something that you have the opportunity to accept or not. You can walk away from it. It ain't like nobody forcing you to do that shit. If you want to walk away, you can walk away. Do I think that what you said has some truth to it? I agree with you. I think it does have some truth to it. Because in my opinion, I think any aspect of being able to practice capitalism, you're going to always find yourself rooted in patriarchy or white supremacy. These are going to be your main two factors, in my opinion, where it utilizes this type of hard power or cultural influence to be able to enact diplomacy.
For me, is we get caught up on why is capitalism is bad because of this. What's the alternative? What's the realistic alternative? I like to know our alternative to capitalism. What is it? And how do you think you're going to get dominant white society to adhere to that? What type of method are you going to use to make white men relinquish or redistribute all of this wealth and go into this new existence or this new system and take away the unfair advantages that they've created for themselves? We can argue the definition of communism all day and whether it's good or bad for black people. I understand that. What's the alternative? Covey, you can respond to Creole if you need to. I see your hands.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you very much. So, Creole, what you talked about was colonialism. When it comes to imperialism, imperialism does not need hard power, right? Imperialism literally just means that the extension of power and control over a region, and that can be achieved politically, economically, or culturally. It does not have to be through hard power. So what China does on the African continent most definitely is imperialism. Now, when we look at the example of Congo, the reason as to why China owns over 75% of the cobalt mines in Congo, which do use child labor, by the way, is because of the Siko Mines agreement in 2008. So what China did was, and this was Congo coming out of literally like a whole African war, regional war. It lost millions of people. The economy was completely destroyed, right? And what China did was it came in and it said, listen, if you allow me to extract all of your raw materials, I will give you some infrastructure like roads, hospitals, railways, right? And in return, China would then gain complete access to copper and cobalt mining rights. Now, Congo didn't really have the leverage to do anything against that because of this asymmetrical power, right? Even though it's not formal colonization, there was still a power imbalance. Congo was emerging from war, had a lot of debt crisis. China had massive financial and technical leverage, right? And it was the contract terms were not even fully transparent. Why? Because now China owns over 75% of the cobalt and copper mines within, specifically the cobalt mines within Congo, but it didn't deliver its end of the bargain. It has not actively actually built the roads and the hospitals and the railways that it said it would build, right? So this was a horrific deal, right? That was very one-sided. And that one side, China, was able to set the terms that locked in a long-term advantage for itself as opposed to Congo because it had...
Let me ask you this question. What's the alternative to that? What other option do those African nations have in terms of combating imperialism?
Scientific socialism.
Okay.
Right? I think yes, scientific socialism can most definitely replace capitalism systemically, right? So I think like number one, these practical steps that you could do to achieve this is you first of all raise class consciousness. And this is not about niceness, by the way. I'm not trying to be nice to any other people. I care about Black liberation first and foremost. And I'm saying that the necessary condition of capitalism is Black death. You cannot have it other way. You cannot have it other way. In order for capitalism to continue functioning, somebody Black needs to die. And the issue here is that Black death is being seen as like a feature of capitalism that can be removed when it's not a feature. It's the necessary condition. It is the foundation of it. It was birthed through it. It continues to be sustained through it as well, right? So like like you can't have it. Somebody black needs to die, right? And with Creole, the RSF today, which is actively genociding Sudanese people, it uses Chinese weapons, right? It literally uses Chinese weapons. China knows full well that its weapons are being used to genocide Sudanese people, and yet it still continues selling those weapons. It doesn't care, right? So China does not give a damn about helping African people. What China is actively trying to do, if you look into all of the things that it's doing and entrapping these different countries into this debt entrapment, is it's trying to actively replace the West. It's trying to replace the West. It's not going to help us. I think this is why people need to look into what Thomas Sankara did when he got into power in Burkina Faso, is that he kicked out all of them. He kicked all of them out. He kicked Russia out. He kicked China out. He kicked the West out, because he knew that none of these regions, all of them wanted to still depend on Black Death, right? So I don't want to talk anymore, but I just wanted to say, like this idea that capitalism can exist without Black Death is so detrimental. It's so dangerous. And it's so dangerous because it gives Black people this illusion that we can play within the system and make it work for us when we can't. Because the necessary condition of this system is for somebody Black to die somewhere.
Well, I'll say this about Thomas Sankara. He tried, he attempted, he kicked everyone out, and we saw what the West did. You have to have some sort of global allyship. It sounds amazing to say everybody go. Somebody got a flag. Who was it? I think that the unaliving word got your flag. Covey. I think the unaliving word is what got you the flag. You can come back up if you got another page, you can use that, or you can just wait the 10 minutes and just jump back in the queue, and I'll let you back up. You need allyship, man. Allyship is important. We do this thing as Black people where we say we can do this regardless of who whether anyone else is involved or not. That has proven to be a fatal mistake, especially for African leaders. Everyone who attempted to go about it in that way, they got unalived. So there has to be some sort of relationship created that allows specifically African leaders to transcend over into what it is that they can be. I try to be fair with the conversation, man, and I try not speak against our brothers and sisters in Africa. But in terms of just kicking everybody else out and dealing with the problem, they hadn't done a good job at doing that. Now, in terms of the Chinese folk coming in, again, a bad deal is not imperialism. A 99-year lease is not imperialism. And when you get the knowledge and information necessary to go off on your own, what's stopping you from kicking them out? Nobody say the Chinese have to maintain their presence in Africa after these African nations are modernized and they learned everything that they need. So we just have to be a little bit more realistic about it. Yeah, in a perfect world, of course we will want African nations to rule over themselves and not have to depend on other folks. But that's just not, to even look at it that way, I think we're being disingenuous. And in terms of capitalism requiring Black bodies, if I'm not mistaken, capitalism existed in Europe before they ever encountered us as Black people.
No,
so I think capitalism does not have origins in Europe in the Middle Ages, 14th, 15th century. No capitalism in Europe is what you're telling me, Cole.
That was feudalism, not capitalism.
Right, that's the term that they use for it. It was capitalism. Okay, American capitalism. Swan, let me see if Birdie, Ayana, then Swan, I'm gonna get to you. Well, before that, Chad. See, this is what I'm saying, guys. We go into this space where we begin to argue definitions. The exploitation of people. Did this take place in Europe prior to them coming in contact with Black folk? European people were exploiting people way before they encountered Black people. They were exploiting themselves before they even knew we existed on this planet. So we can define it how we want to define it. Capitalism at its core is the exploitation of weaker people. This is what it is. You can define it however you want to define it. It's the same act. To exploit others for the betterment of you or your group of people. European folk have been doing this. Chad, introduce yourself, man. Give me an age and who you voted for.
25.
Yeah, go ahead. You can add to the conversation now. Go.
Yeah, I think Kobe's points were very salient to combat some misinformation that was said. And I think people, when they talk about like socialism, right?
Yeah.
Probably the most successful socialist project or socialist movement in the United States is the Black Panther Party. In fact, the United States adopted the free breakfast program for public schools based off of the Black Panthers program of feeding 20,000 kids across America with their respective chapters. And when we talk about like capitalism, like yes, obviously everybody has to live within capitalism, but when you are living in that system, that doesn't mean that you can't advocate for a better one. In fact, during American chattel slavery, most of the people within American society didn't think that slavery should end, but we ended up fighting a war to end it because we thought it was inhumane. And, capitalism is a relatively new economic system in comparison to like feudalism or monarchy. So to say that socialism or communism can't come after capitalism, I think would be ahistorical.
It's sort of like us being American, we want to liberate other nations. We go into Libya, we go into Venezuela, we go into all these different places, and we say, hey, this system that you guys are using is bad. When you don't have a viable replacement, that's going to be problematic. I understand what y'all saying about capitalism being bad at its core. I get it, man. Again, I think I'm a socialist at heart. I feel like I'm a socialist at heart. I'm for every group of people being taken care of and looked after properly. But I'm not going to discredit the fact that we exist in a system of capitalism. And if you don't have a viable replacement for it, you don't just topple the system. You don't say, I want to bring this system down. And then what? And then what system will we operate under post-capitalism here in America? In peace and harmony with white people. You have to put emphasis on peace and harmony.
Socialism
People are not going to let you take all of their accumulated wealth. Give me a second. Again, y'all can exist in this righteous fantasy where you see the world turn into some sort of socialist system where we're looking out for our neighbors. You're not going to convince me that white men are going to allow you to take all of their material wealth that they've gained at the expense of black and brown people and live in peace and harmony with you in your new system of socialism. Let's step out of the fantasy. After capitalism comes what? After capitalism comes what?
Well, first, the transitionary period would be socialism, and then after socialism, the end goal would be communism for some people on the left. Like Covey said, scientific socialism is probably the most reasonable solution right now.
So you're gonna go into a transitional period of socialism without eliminating all the people who are thriving in the system of capitalism. You will have to eliminate them. You would have to eradicate them. You would have to remove. Give me a second. You would have to remove. This is us living in reality, and this is how it would have to go. After capitalism comes a time period in which you would have to wipe a scourge from the earth. You would literally have to eliminate white men who thrived in the system of capitalism. Or you think they just gonna retreat off into the woods and allow you to build up this new beautiful?
Right. The reason these people back up capitalism is because if they don't, they can't pay their rent. If their spouse or their parents get sick, they can't pay for their health care. So I am going to, if you're that white man, white T man, I'm going to back the white man with capital. I'm going to be his henchman. I'm going to be his assistant. I'm going to be his COO or whatever, as opposed to helping out black and brown people. This isn't a decision that they are making logically. It's a decision that they're making emotionally and out of survival. And so the only way to actually get the type of things that Chad and Covey are talking about, to create this switch so that we can get, as I saw someone in the comments talking about, the dictatorship of the proletariat, is to make sure that we actually get those people on our side. We have to take away those incentives. And we can do that. I don't know. As far as the global situation is concerned, as far as taking on imperialism and that's a different conversation. And I don't know. I consider myself, I just think about American politics. But to get that to happen, we have to capture this system and provide and remove that incentive structure. Provide education, provide healthcare, make it so that those people can make the decision to stop defending their the white man with ownership of capital, because they know that I can do that and I'm still going to have a house. I'm still going to have healthcare, right? And you don't even have to clear the board. You don't have to go healthcare, housing, education, get all those off the board. If you can just mostly get, housing to be affordable and healthcare, these people will generally have enough money where they can make more moves to be free. Right. This is literally the only way that I see it actually happening. The problem that I see when it comes with capitalism, socialism, and communism conversation is that it seems to ignore that a lot of these structures are happening on a neurological, biological incentive structure, and we have to address that. We have to address human behavior at that point and attack the policies so that we can get more people to feel free to resist the structure that currently exists, if that makes sense.
I don't think people of color can coexist peacefully with dominant systems of whiteness. I just don't even think it's a possibility. I think you have to destroy the entire system if that is the route that you're gonna go. You're not gonna take a thing away from rich white men, because they are the ones that at the top of capitalism. You're not gonna take their thing away from them and have them coexist peacefully with you. They're gonna fight for it. They're gonna fight for it, and they're gonna be willing to do things to you that you're not willing to do to them. And they have the power and the resources to actually do a little bit more to you in terms of what it is that you can, in terms of if it came to some sort of fight. Now, I think when it comes to capitalism, I think capitalism is more, it's a bigger beast than what we think it is, because we moved from chattel slavery being the dominant factor and capitalism to land ownership becoming the dominant factor. So they've shown us that they'll completely change what this American system of capitalism is based in and on. At first, it was human bodies. It was black bodies. They had to have the black bodies. And then when black people became free in America, guess what? They shifted towards land. All of the wealth went towards who owns the majority of land. And if we were able to obtain a large amount of land, guess what? Guess what this dominant white system would do? They would shift capitalism again. They would say, hey, now it's based on who owns the most amount of, forest resources. I don't give moon rocks. They would just keep moving the goalposts in terms of what it is that we're fighting back against. I don't think it's possible to destroy capitalism without destroying a dominant system of whiteness. If you're not realistic about the fact that you literally have to destroy all of these dominant white systems, you're not realistic about moving beyond capitalism. You're not going to take anything away from these white men and introduce a system of socialism and think they're going to exist inside of your system when they have all the power, they have all the wealth, authority, and they have the military prowess to fight for it. They're not just going to give it to you. And I think that the disingenuous part of these conversations is us existing in this fantasy that we have in our own mind that the world one day is going to be righteous and the world one day is going to be fair. In terms of history, what do we, not just for you, Craig, I'm just responding. I'm not really responding to what you're saying, but you can chime in after this. What history do we have that tells us that white men are going to live in peace and harmony with everybody else in a system of socialism? What history do we have of them doing that? I don't think we have the history. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I think that we need to try and look at socialism not as a utopia, right, but as actually a tactic to take away the forces, right? You're actually, if you can use socialism, you can start removing the forces of white supremacy. And by forces, I just mean the people without power who are defending that power, right? That is where they outnumber us. That's where the incentive is. And socialism, on the national level, starts getting people to stop being incentivized to defend that power structure, because that's the only reason why a lot of these white racists are doing it, is because capitalism and the ownership class is incentivizing backing them up. We're not seeing Elon Musk walk down the street and actually oppress people. He's got people out there.
Yeah, that's a white man, Casso.
To do it for. No, yeah, it's one white guy. And
No,
that
you
one
are.
white guy has a bunch of poor white guys working under him. And I think socialism is a tactic to remove those poor white guys so that we can actually oppress and take away all the resources from that one white guy. That is how I've been looking at it. And the only way that I see it makes sense, and we have to be careful, and I'll end my plan on this, we have to be careful because there has been a separation in this country for a little bit now between the corporate owning class and the state. That has been a sort of an opaque and very see-through connection line, but that line has existed. Now we're actually seeing that the owning class has just gone in and they're taking over the state. They're just actually taking over those reins of power. They're able to write the laws. They're able to write the policies. They're able to execute EOs. That is a position that is going to be very difficult to fight out from, and we need to try and prevent that from happening as much as possible.
Right.
Because they're thinking down the line.
Kurt, it's on small. I get what y'all saying. I love just having these conversations for conversation's sake, but I still like. We have a real threat out in the real world, man, and they exist. It seems to me that dominant white society, they are willing to do things that we are not willing to do as black people specifically. They have shown us these things. And we continue to try and take this righteous approach to the society that we exist in. They don't care how fair we are, man. They are going to overly assert themselves on us time and time again. And if we are not willing to do to them what they're willing to do to us, we're going to always get the ass end of the stick. We're not just TikTok 2026. Y'all think this is the first time black people conjured up the idea of socialism being some sort of savior for blackness? Every black liberation movement was based in the ideology of socialism. Garvey, the Black Panthers, Malcolm X, all of our leaders believe the same thing, man. But who is gonna teach and preach the idea that you have to do to these folk what they are willing to do towards you or to you? I just think we're a little bit too we're far too nice in our approach when it comes to dealing with dominant white society, man, because we still exist under this idea that we have to go about it in a righteous and fair manner, in an equal manner, and I don't see that as being a solution. We can barely get black people outside to vote, and you think we're gonna topple communism and introduce a system of socialism? Us and what army? We can't even get black folk out the house to cast a free vote, but we think that we're gonna rise up and pull off some sort of revolution and topple a system of capitalism on this side of the ocean. Maybe, maybe not. Swan, you can chime in here, then Skeptic, then Young.
Yeah, I want to say this. I think it's important for people to understand that as long as capitalism exists, black women are going to die. Black women will be unalived because of capitalism. It removes black women's autonomy. It removes black women's ability, right, to give birth to a baby. It removes black women. Black women are telling you right now on this panel that capitalism will unalive us. Capitalism will not allow black women to have autonomy. Capitalism is a white man's lifeline. Take it away from them by any means necessary. Nobody is sitting up here saying that we need to be friends with white people. Nobody is sitting up here saying that we should make deals with white people. We've been doing that, right? Since we were dragged over here. Has it worked out for us? No, hell no. I'm saying take away their lifeline. White men are scared right now. The reason why they're coming up on a panel saying the N-word, doing this, that, and the third is because they are afraid. This is why they are trying to force capitalism to remain in place. This is why socialism and communism are looked at as impossible, because we've been indoctrinated, right, to want to continue capitalism. Why? Because it benefits white men and it will unalive black women. Point blank, period. And you can't have a hybrid example of capitalism and socialism working together. As long as capitalism continues to exist, black women will unalive, and that has to be understood. It also has to be understood that capitalism is a white man's lifeline. Without capitalism, they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing. They don't even realize that, right, when we approach late stage capitalism, that they will be the reason for their very own demise. And I think that that's something that needs to be understood. And nobody is saying to be nice. We already know that as Black women, trust and believe, we know how evil the beast of whiteness is. As Black women, right? Because y'all don't hear us when we talk. Y'all don't. A lot of times we suffer in silence. And I'm not saying that Black men don't have their issues as well. But what I am saying is, right, is that when Black women are telling you that something is going to unalive them, listen to them. That's it. Listen. That's it. Capitalism is a white man's lifeline, right? Trying to take the tools of the oppressor, the very tools that keep us oppressed, and use it against them, it's not going to work, right? And understand that when I talk about these things, I am not leaving violence out. Violence against the state is a requirement. It is 100% a requirement when we talk about liberation. The Haitian Revolution required violence. Any revolution or rebellion that took place here on this land, where it was either Black and Indigenous people standing in solidarity with each other, or Black people who were able to overthrow a plantation owner, right? This has happened in mass. The reason why we don't know about it, because the information is not easily accessible.
Later, I think originally he was a socialist. I get where y'all coming from with this. I understand what y'all saying. The shit sound good, man. But at the end of the day, these niggas in America are not about to spark no revolution. They pulled that shit off in Haiti because they understood total annihilation of your enemy is the only way. And we see how capitalism crushed Haiti. Even when Haiti fought for its independence, got its independence, capitalism still managed to destroy Haiti. Americans, period, are way too goddamn comfortable. Like, we have to be real about these conversations that we have, man. Man, these niggas over here, man, they can't go a day without a fucking phone charger. You think these niggas gonna go off the grid and fight the military? Man, come on, man. Like, let's be realistic about this now. I understand in our perfect world, yeah, we gonna rise up and take it by force. Men are weak as fuck today. Women, what happened to women being stronger than men these days? And I agree with y'all. I think women are stronger than men these days. These the same niggas y'all think gonna pull off a fucking revolution and topple capitalism? It ain't gonna work, man. This shit bigger than what you reading in a book. This shit gonna require a whole bunch of people to be displaced and harmed and damaged. You're talking about flipping a continent on its head. What about men in America right now that they tell you that they had that in them? What about the men in America right now that they tell you that they had it inside? Man, everybody in America, all communities, are extremely self-serving, selfish people who want to become full participants in capitalism. They are willing to do anything to other folks for a dime or a dollar. This is a fact. All you righteous folk who think y'all know every motherfucking thing, if you never been outside, you never been in the streets, you don't know what come with this shit. This not your fucking library. If you ain't never held a motherfucker in your hand and watched them take their last breath, that shit final. This ain't no revolutionary fantasy, no fucking book. You ever seen a nigga get their brain popped right in front of you? If you hadn't, shut up. You and your dictionary ain't gonna be able to do this shit that you say is required. Y'all be living outside y'all motherfucking body. If you're not from that, man, you don't understand that, don't speak on that. This shit different. You reading about black revolutionaries don't make you no motherfucking revolutionary. You ever been in a shootout? You know what that shit do to you? You know what that shit do to your motherfucking adrenaline? You know how you gonna react in that? Y'all asking for some shit y'all never experienced, man. Y'all being disingenuous. How you gonna take down American military drones? How you gonna take down the drones when the revolution starts? When they get to landing drones on your motherfucking head? How you gonna deal with that? Man, we can sit up all day and play Perfect America, definitions in a book, but at some point, that shit you believe in has to transcend over into the real world. And you niggas ain't about that. You niggas will never dupe me and try to fool me into thinking you about that. You're not about that, bro. You niggas talking this shit and you going home and you getting on Call of Duty later on. You getting on 2K later on. You getting on Madden later on. You ain't willing to go outside and do nothing. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. I love these conversations, but I have to be a realist about this shit, bro. Most of you niggas cowards. Most of you niggas are fucking cowards. You ain't gonna get me revved up and send me outside to get zapped, nigga. Yeah, we need to start a revolution, bro. You ready? No, I'm not. You ain't put in no motherfucking work in no city or no neighborhood, nowhere on this planet have you done what's required in terms of you getting on some extracurricular activities. But you gonna tell me how to do it and when to do it. You out your motherfucking mind, boy. Go be a professor or a teacher. Educate folk, teach the history. Stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane.
Oh, I couldn't hear anything. I think you're muted, Casa.
We can't hear you.
There you go. Woo, a lot has been said. A lot has been said. Passions have been inflamed. All because we're trying to figure out what to do with these white people's system of government and economics and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. I kind of agree with what is her name? Author? I'm sorry. Authority.
Yeah, authority is one word.
Okay. I agree with what you said about white men being scared of capitalism falling. And that's because the United States itself, the U.S. identity, is inextricably linked with capitalism. They're intertwined. If the U.S. can't exist without capitalism, so if capitalism falls, the United States falls, and God forbid their precious United States falls. I mean, what are they going to do with their blue jeans and their tractors? And where are they going to have their drag races and their tractor pulls and all of that? Their identity, their very identity is linked with this country. They believe that they are the standard. And if that falls, because capitalism falls, who are they? Who are they? What are they? Where do they belong? What do they do? Where they're lost without it. But my other issue is that the United States is not, it's only capitalist as far as the banking and the contracts are concerned. Everything else is socialism. Everything else is socialism. So we're already kind of there, but they're still trying to hold on to that last little bit of thing. So they have to kind of kick us to the curb to get us out of what they consider to be the last vestiges of capitalism. They have to kick us to the curb so they can preserve it, so they can keep it. But the rest of the United States is mostly socialism. Everything that you know, police services, ambulance, school teachers, schools. They clean the water for you. If you pay them, they clean the water. If you pay your electric bill, you get electricity. That's not capitalism. That's not capitalism. We're mostly socialist. And I wanted to say this to somebody in the chat. Socialism and communism are not the same thing. They're not. People mix these things up. They're interchangeable. No, they are not. They are not. And I'm not even going to get into why they are not on this because it's too much, it's too long, but they are not. And Americans like to use those things lazily, interchangeably, but I need you all to understand that they are not the same thing. And I land my plane.
My thing is with all you revolutionists, go outside. What you waiting on? Go the fuck outside. Go do it. Do it. Stop announcing your revolution. Go fucking do it. Y'all so fucking gangster. Go do it. Go take on American military. I heard they got sound technology now. They'll hit that button and make your fucking brain melt out your ear. Go do it. You fucking geeks get online and y'all get the yapping. Go do it. I want to see you niggas go do it. Take the biggest book in your fucking library, go outside and do it. Same way I feel about men announcing that men need to lead. Stop announcing your leadership. Go lead. Go do it. You're not gonna go do it because you're a fucking coward. That's why. You're gonna come on social media and play these social media games. You know the difference between you and them white boys you don't like? They'll do it. They'll jump out of U-Haul in your motherfucking neighborhood. They'll go join the police department just so they can smoke a nigga in broad daylight. You niggas ain't gonna do it. And you're not gonna convince me that you'll do it. Skeptic is on you.
Yeah. So
And then Covey, you can chime in after Skeptic. Covey, I know you've been waiting for a second.
yeah, I did want to say I enjoy these type of topics also, Cass. I don't know if you remember that I had a communist one time when I held a live like
Give me a
this.
second, Mars. I already directed y'all to mute all these troll ass people. I don't care about no alternate opinions. Mute them. Any contrarians in my comment section, mute them. Fuck you and fuck what you think. Get off TikTok, go buy you one, and go outside and start the revolution. Don't be in this bitch trying to convince me that you're a gangster and you ready for a revolution. Go do it, nigga. I want to see you on CNN tonight. Mute these motherfucking people. I don't give a fuck about no motherfucker saying, I'm one of yours. Man, fuck that. Anything contrary, mute it. Go ahead, Skeptic.
Yeah, so no, I enjoy conversations like these, and I also want to say to the chat, we can disagree and we can have intellectual conversations, and that doesn't mean that you have to be an op. Like I feel like the diversity in thought to me tends to be more beneficial than.
Wait, Skeptic, did I say you were op? I didn't say you were op.
I don't know who you're talking to, Chad. Tends to be more beneficial than, sometimes having conversations with people who you agree with 100%. So the interesting thing to me is that we have seen the overthrowment of governments in which they have then institutionalized ideas that are based off socialism, right? In which the means of production have always gone to the state or the government. So although we would like to think that in a socialist economy, the means of production is going to go to the workers, the people that are in these companies. In reality, what we've always seen is that the means of production, the ownership of it, will go to the state or the government. And I want to say this in more simpler terms, because I know a lot of people in the comments were like, I don't know what's being said here. And I do like to use simple terms. So to give you an example, right? Just put it into perspective. America, we overthrow the government. We take over everything. Who owns Nike? Who is going to control how we're going to make shoes, right? So we want the owners to be the people, but because it's more complex than that, the ownership of who owns Nike is going to go to the government, the United States government. They are then going to regulate, and they're going to take the profits. And in some aspects, because I'll say this is why I was saying that China is a type of hybrid, but you see it in Cuba as well, right? You saw all of the people that were the owners of these companies flee. So they leave, right? Because now they're not going to own these companies. And so then the government comes in and takes ownership of the production and then disperses the profits of it to the people, is what the idea of it is supposed to be. So, and the reason why I say it's a hybrid is because parts of China, the means of production in China, are owned by the state, right? So, and this is why I want to put it in simple terms for everyone that's listening. So I don't disagree with the fact that would be a better economy, or that that's what we would want, right? I think the way to get there, or what we're saying, is realistically speaking, how would that change, or how would there be a change in our economy in this nation today? I just want to clarify for everyone that's listening, because a lot of people in the comments were asking that. And I think we have different ways to go about that. We don't want the exploitation of anyone. I don't want people to be unalived, right? But realistically, when you look at our economy, realistically, when you look at Cuba, when you look at different governments, you then have to conclude, how would we get there? And just saying we're going to overthrow the government and to revolt, I don't think is very realistic. I land.
It was on Cubby.
Okay, thank you. It's impossible. So you can't have a hybrid economy like what you're saying with regards to mixing capitalism and socialism. China within itself is not a socialist system, right? Why do I say this? Lenin himself, right, claims that imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism, right? So what he says is that capitalism evolves in stages,
and imperialism within itself is the final monopoly stage before revolutionary crisis occurs, right? China engaging in imperialism, which it 100% does. China, the stuff that China does on the African continent is demonic, right? So China engages in imperialism. The very fact that it engages in imperialism completely takes it out of the fold of socialism, right? And also, socialist programs does not mean socialism, right? So capitalism depends on inequality and exploitation of labor. Socialism depends on collective control of production and trying to minimize exploitation. You can't have the two. You can, and just because, right? Some of a lot of the enterprises within China are state managed or state owned, it doesn't make it socialist, right? Because they're still not managed by workers. They still have a lot of private capital, right? That is accumulates wealth outside of collective control. The motive of the enterprises is to hoard wealth. And when the primary motive of these enterprises, the state-owned enterprises, is to hoard wealth, that encourages inequality, which is just fundamentally different than socialism. And why I'm saying this so imperative is this is so dangerous. It is so dangerous to pretend as if socialism and capitalism can coexist, because they cannot, right? What you're talking about with regards to China is state capitalism, right? Cedric Robinson, I would highly recommend to read his book. Cedric Robinson talks about racial capitalism, right? It's called state capitalism. The decisions that the Chinese state-owned enterprises make prioritize profits, they prioritize exports, they prioritize global competitiveness. They in no way prioritize worker control or equality. And how I know this, if you look into the inequality within China, it is disgusting. China has is a country that has some of the most billionaires out there. Billionaires are not ethical. There's never an ethical billionaire. Billionaires should not even exist in a society that tries to achieve equality. So the very fact that there are so many billionaires within China goes to show that it is a state-run capitalist system and not socialist. So you cannot have both. Russia is the same thing. Russia itself is not socialist. And also, just because China calls itself, that it says it has socialist features, does not make it socialist. The same way North Korea calls itself a democratic republic, but I'm pretty sure nobody thinks it's a democratic republic. The same way the Yazidis called themselves national socialists, but it doesn't mean that they were socialist, right? So socialism aims to reduce inequality. China does not care about inequality. There are tech billionaires, there's rural-urban divides, there's like wage inequality, all of these different things. So that's number one. And number two, socialism, I'll land my plane with this. I know I've been talking a lot. Socialism is not about being nice. There's a reason as to why, as Swan mentioned, white people are terrified of leftism. They encourage capitalism because they know that at the bottom of capitalism is us. Capitalism cannot exist or thrive or function without Black people being unalived. Whether it is Black people in Africa, whether it is Black people in the diaspora. And that's precisely why white people encourage capitalism. And even during the civil rights movement, any semblance of Black Americans moving towards leftism caused terror within the American government. So if we know that socialism and leftism terrifies white people, that is the route that we should be going towards, and not towards the route that they encourage. Because they would never encourage us to go towards a route that would dismantle their system of power.
I'm gonna go down to Ted. I mean, and that's where I'm just a little bit different than what you guys think. I think the system of capitalism it's possible to exploit any group of people. I don't think black people have to be that constant group of people at the bottom of a system of capitalism. I think you can exploit white people just as good. You can exploit Asian folk just as well. People from the Middle East, you can exploit them just as well. So I don't necessarily feel like it has to be a black body. Chad, you can chime in. You've been waiting for a minute.
Yeah, so you are technically correct that when it comes to capitalism, you don't necessarily have to exploit. Hold on. Let me say something real quick. When it comes to capitalism, right? I think right now, capitalism in and of itself require, like Covey said, it does require the exploitation of the black body, considering that the majority of American products are created through outsourcing. So a lot of the stuff that we buy within the Western Hemisphere is off the backs of, African child labor. And I think it's somewhat understanding to, understand that most people cannot imagine a world outside of capitalism, which is what you would call capitalist realism. And I think, like Covey said, the American government does not, well, not just the American government, but Western powers in general, they don't blink an eye if you're a black person saying you're a capitalist or you want black people to be capitalists. In fact, they love that, because if they can prop up certain black people who are successful within capitalism, they can then say, they can try to wash their hands of the exploitative nature of capitalism and say, oh, look, these black people succeeded and they're doing well. So see, capitalism is okay. When in reality, we know that America and Western powers have done everything in their power throughout much of the 20th century to stifle any black political power, both in America and the Caribbean and Western parts of Africa, because they knew that if black people understood the exploitative nature of capitalism, how it's intrinsically tied to racism, and they educated the masses about that, then all hell would break loose, which is why they took everything in their power to assassinate, imprison, or put in exile most of the Black Panthers and the Black Liberation Army in America, which is why they assassinated people like.
Hey, give me 1 second.
You said what?
Even when it comes to what Covey said, I don't think it's just black people, whether it's black, indigenous, or just melanated people globally. I can agree with that. Usually, capitalism is going to be it's going to depend on the exploitation of melanated people. I don't think just, even when you look at India, when you look at the Middle East, when you look at just the caste system in itself, it's usually almost always the darker people who are being exploited in these systems.
Yeah.
I just think, I feel, this is my position, I feel that capitalism can exist with or without black people. That's just how I feel. But
You
go
said
ahead.
it can exist without. You said it can exist without black people.
Yeah, I think white people will find a way to exploit other white people in a system of capitalism absent black bodies. I
agree with you. I agree with you. But if we're talking about within the Western world, and we're talking about within a post-overt colonial society, I guess you could say America's quote unquote post-colonial in a sense. Same with a lot of the Caribbean countries. You cannot say that. You cannot separate the exploitation of the black body. That's how America got the majority of its wealth through American chattel slavery. So you can't separate racism from capitalism within the Western societal sense. But even within the Eastern society or within African society, you can't really even if you were to not exploit quote unquote black people, exploitation is wrong regardless of who it is, which is why the Black Panthers collaborated with other races of people within their activism. In fact, Huey's Black Panther chapter within Chicago got a bunch of groups of Confederates to denounce their love for the Confederacy, and they ended up fighting for the Black Panthers. So like I said, in our white supremacist society, they love when people like Jay-Z, people like Killer Mike, when they love capitalism, they love that because they can make them scapegoats for the exploitation that is capitalism.
With or without capitalism, black unaliveness is going to be a thing, especially in the dominant white system. white people.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a class reductionist. That's why I'm not a class reductionist. That's what class reductionism is. Class reductionism argues that class is the only thing that we need to worry about. But that's why intersectional feminism and black radicalism and Pan-Africanism are very crucial, because it ties in both a racial analysis and a class analysis. Covey mentioned Black Marxism by Cedric Robinson, and he talks about racial capitalism. That's basically, in a nutshell, why specifically black socialist and black leftist movements terrifies the Western world.
I want you to answer this question for me, Chad. Where has Black Revolution overturned capitalism and been able to sustain itself?
But can you say it again?
Where has Black Revolution been able to overturn a system of capitalism and self-sustain?
When you say still sustain, what do you mean?
Sustain itself.
Well, no country in the world, quote unquote, self-sustains. We're in an international global economy. What usually happens when a country tries to nationalize their resources.
I don't want you to
This is usually what happens, right? Within the global south, right?
Chad, you're getting caught up in the wording and you're going off on whether a nation is self.
No, I'm giving a detailed answer. This is not a 1 + 1 = 2 answer. This is a detailed answer.
Give me a country where Black Revolution has overthrown capitalism and thrived. Yes.
But you said on its own. That's not impossible within the international.
I don't want to get. I know we are interconnected globally. I get that. I don't want you to go off into a tangent on that front. Just tell me, where has Black Revolution overthrown capitalism and thrived, and those people been able to thrive? So when we're having this conversation,
I don't believe there's a country.
Right. So you guys are speaking of, you guys are speaking of, Burkina Faso's new, and we've yet to see how this gonna work out. And I'm pulling.
No, I'm saying Thomas Sankara in the 1980s. It thrived very well for 4 years, and that's why he was assassinated.
Right. So that's the only sign. It's the only time we have.
That's one example. There are multiple examples of leaders thriving and getting assassinated, and that's precisely why I'm saying if they were assassinated, this is the way. Like clearly there is a danger to it, and that's why they're getting assassinated or trying to get.
I want to press you a little bit. I want you to tell me how Thomas Sankara thrived and how did that nation thrive. You have some numbers. I'm just pressing you on this a little bit. Give me some numbers in terms of something tangible that tells me they were thriving. What do they look like globally in terms of trade? What did the military power look like?
They're literally blocked out of economic, from the global economic market. That's literally what I was trying to say.
Global sanctions on you as a nation. How can you thrive?
Yeah.
If you put sanctions on a country, that economically depletes them.
Right.
So how Burkina thrive within that fort?
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Cub, I got you. I know you like to have these conversations. So I'm asking you if global capitalism put a stranglehold on Thomas Sankara and Burkina Faso, how could you also say they were thriving if they were being choked off from the rest of the world? How do you
That's
thrive?
Really why they assassinated them. That's why they assassinated them, because they view socialism as a threat.
I understand why they assassinated him. I'm asking you for any sort of numbers in terms of global trade to show me that they were thriving. Go ahead, Covey, you can chime in too. Right. Chad, I get it. If you view keeping all of your resources as being able to thrive, that's fine, but you have to sell your resources to
But
others.
if you have sanctions on your country, you can't do that.
Wait, hold on 1 second. But but we're talking about, internal thriving first, right? Your population also has to be able to thrive to be able to do that. So when we look at, for example, the infant mortality rate before he got into power was extremely high. It was about 200 deaths per 1,000 live births. Within 4 years, it significantly decreased to around 145 deaths per 1,000 live births, right? right? So a 30% reduction. 2.5 million children were vaccinated as well against measles and all those different things, which is an enormous part of the country, which was about 7 million people, right? Literacy rates rose from about 13% to 77% within only 4 years. You had about 10 million trees that were planted. You had the fact that women started gaining more participation within the government, within the workforce, within public life. He outlawed forced marriage, genital mutilation, polygamy. He expanded women's rights to education, access to education. He actively transformed the qualitative life expectation of Burkinabe people. He built hundreds of health posts, hundreds of villages had wells drilled within them, built water reservoirs. Thousands of schools were actually constructed through community labor. And so when we're looking at the infant mortality rate, when we look at the child vaccination, the literacy rates, when we look at the tree planting, when we look at just general overall Burkinabe people were actually thriving within those 4 years. It only took him 4 years to achieve all of this.
I agree with you on all of that, Coven. I'm not going to push back against any of that, but what I am going to push back against is the fact that the question has not been answered. We're talking about capitalism, so I'm talking about economically and globally. How did Burkina Faso thrive? How did they thrive economically? Everything you stated, I love it. I have no rebuttal to any of that. People need that. That is the baseline. I think that's just the baseline to humanity. But in terms of economically, you have to show me that they were thriving economically.
Yeah. So he prioritized self-reliance.
Give me a second. This is the part of TikTok conversations where y'all have to be genuine. I love Covey. But if I'm pressing on the answer, I would like a specific answer. We're talking about capitalism. We're talking about capitalism, profits, money, the economy. Again, I accept her response. And that's why I let her finish, because I think it's important to get that information out there. But we're talking about capitalism. Go ahead, Covey.
Yeah, so the economy could not rapidly industrialize, right? Because he did limit revenue from exports. So that is 100% true. What he did instead do was he advocated for self-reliance, right? Which means he prioritized basic human needs, and he also prioritized an agricultural-based economy, right? So he nationalized a lot of key sectors like mining, he nationalized cotton processing, public services, and he promoted local manufacturing, right? And instead of it depending on import, he kicked out foreign aid. He kicked out reliance because he believed in the hand that feeds you, controls you. And so the industrial capacity was more low, yes. And the economy did remain primarily subsistence or agricultural based, right? But you could still build an alternative in doing that. Because again, African countries, if we're just focusing on Africa will never benefit from capitalism. It will never benefit because the whole global economy is structured to depend on extraction economies, extraction structures. And that is how these systems within Africa have been built. And if African people are saying, you know what, we do not want to participate in this, we're going to try to work together amongst other African countries and try to build an alternative system, which is what is being attempted to be done.
Right.
I think that's the way to go, right? But
I understand what you're saying, Covey, but at the end of the day, you can't say a nation is thriving when it has sanctions, global sanctions on it. The sanctions are, in fact, put in place to keep that nation from thriving. And when we have these conversations about why Black people can't thrive in a system of capitalism, it's based in hypotheticals. We're saying hypothetically, Black people can't thrive in a system of capitalism because we never controlled a capitalist system. We've never shown the world what we can do with the system. We know what a white dominant system of capitalism has done. I get it. People will be unalived. I understand it. Exploitation takes place. I understand it. But if you can't give me an example of a black nation, a black dominated nation, black leaders who are genuinely for the betterment of black people. If you can't give me the example of them misusing capitalism, you're speaking in a hypothetical. And at the end of the day, if you're speaking in a hypothetical, that is what you think is going to take place, because we don't have that definitive.
But don't you understand that there isn't a single global market that is not dependent on like Africans dying? Not a single one.
I understand it. I'm not going to argue with you. I know Africans now and for hundreds of years have been exploited to the betterment of everybody else. So I am totally against it. Yeah, I understand it. All of us depend on what takes place in Africa.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with the system, Caso.
Everything is based on the exploitation of. Give me a second. Everything's based on the exploitation of African people. I understand and I know that, but I'm also a realist, and I know that I'm not going to live in a hypothetical. I'm not going to say hypothetically we would do with this what they're doing with it. I like to try it, and it's just me. That's my personal perspective. I like to see black folk in control of capitalism for a while.
Caso, I do have to go, by the way. Thank you so much for having me as per usual. I do feel, thank you for giving me the space and chance to speak as per usual. So I just want to say to people in the chat, please don't come at Caso, because he did give me an ample amount of time to speak. If there's a person called Super Solid in the chat, I would happily drop for him. I'm not telling you what to do, but I just wanted to say I would happily drop for him. But I appreciate you. I hope you have a good day.
No, 100%, Covey. Go ahead, Creole, and then Creole, I'm gonna let you back in here.
Yeah, like we have to understand sometimes when we talk about these arguments, we conflate with the person that's in control of the system. It's like if I play, excuse me, it's like if I make something that's good for the people, if I come up with an ingredient or, I come up with something that I want to serve the people when it comes down to food, anything. It's basically the person that's in control of the food, right? So it's like we have to understand that sometimes it's not specifically the system, it's the people that's in control of the system. The system may not be a bad system. It may be something that we can use. So for example, capitalism is about private property. It's a free market system. So you got people that's able to bet that determines the competition on market forces, because if these people over here like it and they want to buy it, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that aspect. It's the people that's in control over the system. That's racism. That's the difference between capitalism and racism. Now you got racism that's in control over capitalism. And it's just my specific opinion on how I look at it. You got racism in control over capitalism and patriarchy. All of that, it gives you a profit motive, self-interest, right? You take away the competition based on color, skin, based on genetics. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about specific competition. Now we're going to use capitalism on our benefit. So now you look at capitalism being something that's just so-called evil and bad, but you're not looking at the people that's taking control over the system. And I think we have to understand that there's a difference between something that works versus the people that's using other type of diasporas to invade that system, like racism. Right? Like you have to think about these type of different things. It's not just that simple. You know what I mean? Like imperialism. All of these different type of economic drivers that cause the imbalance on why people should be treated fairly. So we have to understand that, yeah, this nigga is in control over capitalism, but he's racist as well. So he's not being fair. He doesn't really want competition. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I can come with the right inventions, the right mindset, the resources. I come with all the statistics that show that I'm capable of being the next top priority. But because of racism, now that makes me seem like I'm unfair. And I think we have to be able to make sure we could see the differences between what people are using to construe the argument. I don't see a problem with capitalism as long as black people are in control, because I know we're going to be fair.
Yeah. Creed, you can, well, before Creed, I'll say this, man, and I'm not the type of dude to proclaim that I'm all the way righteous in terms of how I think and what I believe. I believe you do to people what they do to you. I believe if you have a chance at revenge or get back, you do it. I don't believe in forgiving and forgetting. That's just not my way of viewing the world. I don't go through life with that sort of mentality. What I'm telling you is that systems of capitalism, the system of capitalism, has proven to be extremely profitable for the people at the top of it. And now that dominant white society, or white society in general, is becoming a super minority group here in the country, I'm not for this, hey, let's come together, let's be fair, let's equally distribute everything amongst each other. No, I feel if we have the opportunity or we have a chance as Black people to exploit any other group of people, excluding brown people, because I don't think the brown Latin people have a economic plan or system that they use to exploit us, but anybody else they can get in terms of being exploited and misused and mistreated, I'm okay with it. Like, again, I'm not one of those rare, fair and righteous guys who say don't do other people wrong. No, others have thrived in this system for a long time at the expense of Black people, and in that ability to thrive, they never thought twice about us, the Black people at the bottom of the system. You look at Asian Americans, we look at the way they came over here to America and how they propped themselves up. They didn't take 2 seconds to think about the Black people in Black neighborhoods that they were exploiting. Now I'm saying, hey, it's a system of capitalism. I can't be mad at them for fully utilizing the tools in America that allows you to become everything that you can be. I think we just too righteous in terms of how we want to coexist and deal with other groups of people as Black folk. And the fact that we're overly righteous is why we always find ourselves being exploited as Black people. So when I say we go into a system of capitalism fully, I say we just be fully willing to exploit every other group of people the way that they are willing to do it to us. And if not, we just gonna have to deal with the consequences of not being willing to do that to others. And that's gonna be us at the bottom of the system. Go ahead, Cred, and then Super, I'll get you in here. And then Sworn, I got you.
Yeah, I'm
see you,
just
Sworn,
gonna
I
have to
got you.
say
Go
that
ahead,
I fundamentally disagree with the idea that capitalism can be fair, regardless of who is in it. Capitalism is going to be exploitative, and it's going to be exploitative of Black people because it is those nations which are underdeveloped and have been underdeveloped. To try and turn capitalism over and start exploiting European countries, that is just something that those countries aren't going to allow. Now, maybe if you want to engage in that sort of warfare, fine. But I think that what we need to start looking at is the capture of this country by Black socialism. And where I think that we have failed, and this has happened a few times in this conversation, we come close to talking about, okay, well, what happens when socialism is enacted? Well, then the West destroys it. And that's really something that people don't want to start talking about because, Casso, you pointed out, a lot of people really just don't want to be out in these streets having that fight. As much as these arguments hint towards it being necessary, when it comes to actualizing that, people aren't really about that life. So we have to just accept that that's where people are at. I would love to see a capture of certain infrastructures that already exist, right? When we talk about mutual aid, well, yeah, where are we doing mutual aid? College students and old people. Well, they don't have the power structure to wind up helping us in this fight when it needs to be. But setting up mutual aid for pilots and nurses and teachers and firefighters, people who have institutions that are already set up and are constantly being failed by this country, by this capitalist country, if we can set up mutual aid for them so they can actually start seeing a benefit in a socialism or Black socialist system, they might be more willing to, when we're able to because we need to get people in power. If you want to do this without full-on warfare, we need people in power all over the place at every level. And so those institutions have to be captured and have to be shown that there's a system that exists that can still use the structure, but is going to reject the idea of ownership that capitalism relies on and exploitation that capitalism relies on. We cannot have that. And to say that, well, if Black people take it over, we're going to make it more fair. Well, I mean, maybe you're just trying to hide the fact that Black capitalists would turn the system in socialist and get rid of the idea of profit and start putting anything extra that they earn from their labor back into the system and helping people who need it. Possibly that's what you're talking about. I think that would be great. But I think we should just be outright. We should be straightforward with what we're talking about.
Right,
This
Craig,
man is.
and this is
I can hear it in his voice, Casso. He's white.
Creole, I got you, Creole.
Man, fuck you, dude.
I want to lose my thought. Give me a second, guys. Come on. I don't want to lose my thoughts. It's a good conversation. We don't have to fight about it. It's just our perspective. Now, where the disconnect between you and I is here. You're talking about not exploiting other people. I'm telling you that I'm okay with the fact that there are going to be some people exploited. This system of capitalism exploits the white society as well. But guess what? Even in that exploitation, the average old white person still has a better shot at becoming something in America than a black person does. That's just my opinion. Any old poor white person can go out here and get a game plan, go out here and they can go out into dominant white society and thrive. So I understand what you're saying in terms of not exploiting other people. What I'm telling you, Craig, is I don't care about the aspect of exploiting other people. I just want others to be more exploited than what we're gonna be. So I'm not thinking in terms of being completely.
No, I heard you, but those people are going to be black and brown. That's just going to be black and brown people who are exploited, and that's not okay.
I don't think it has to be that way. But give me a second, Swan, and then Super. It's on you, Swan.
Sorry, Solid. If you're okay with it, Super can go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, y'all, this just our perspective, man. None. All of us speaking in hypotheticals. So nobody's definite. I don't feel there was a right or wrong in this particular type of conversation. We just giving our perspective. Go ahead, Super. You muted. Super, you muted. You muted.
I don't know if you can hear us. Yeah. Solid, you're muted.
What's happening?
What's going on, man?
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead.
Okay, I ain't gonna hold you, Slim. Like, I think the reason why folks disagree with socialism a lot of the time is, one, because of Red Scare propaganda, and two, because mad niggas is scared to squab for real. But I don't get it because we are unaliving now. But I want to talk a little bit about something called cultural hegemony. Y'all know anything about that?
No, honestly, I don't.
Okay, cultural hegemony is the ruling class's way of convincing the oppressed classes that their way is good or normal or natural, right? So it's difficult for us to think of a world without capitalism. It's difficult for us to think of a world without prisons. It's difficult for us to think of a way to do economy without exploitation for real. But I can tell you straight up, I don't like to hitch. Like, if the worry is that an implementation of a new system is going to end up a failure, rest assured, y'all, capitalism will also fail. Because to keep it simple, niggas get tired of being hungry. High key. And I don't want to be the exploiter because exploiters get unalived too. We don't think of it that way because we don't think of Nat Turner as being successful. We don't think of Bacon's Rebellion as being successful. We don't think of like all of these revolts, Burkina Faso, Haiti. We don't think of them as being successful because later on those economies were destabilized. But I want to go over something real quick, and then I'm a dip because I got to go pick up my baby. Economies have 4 goals. They want to figure out what to produce, how much to produce, for whom to produce, and how to produce. Capitalism is very bad at that. It suppresses all different types of innovation. It suppresses all different types of production because the motivation behind production in general under capitalism is profit. As long as your system operates off of I'm getting back more than I'm putting in, it's not. Real quick, I just want to respond. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get off that. Poppy. Racism exists to further capitalism. This is not a chicken and egg situation. Race was created specifically to justify the use of human capital. It was created specifically to do cultural hegemony and convince people that it is all right to use people for free and cheap labor. Now, Castle, I hear you, Slim, like you don't care about white men getting exploited and suffering the same stuff that we went through, right? But I don't think they could suffer what we went through, Castle.
No, I mean I know they couldn't endure slavery.
And low key, respectfully,
I believe that revenge is a part of the reparative process. If you hit me, I have to hit you back. Like if not, that shit gonna be on my mind at night, man. I just feel like revenge is a part of the reparative process.
I hear you, but
that's just me.
Respectfully, I don't believe you though. Because are you prepared to cut the child out of somebody's womb and stomp on the baby?
No, I wouldn't do that.
That's not the only. Bro,
yeah, that's not the only.
No, that's not the only.
I think that's an extreme. I think that's an extreme.
That's an extreme.
Yeah,
it was common practice to quarter slaves. You know what that means?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's necessary in terms to.
Okay, all right, okay. So now we're just talking about being closer to the centers of power.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Now we're just saying, okay, we're just saying that you'd be all right with a world where black people are at the centers of power, where we hold the political power, we hold the economic power, the educational power. Right. Okay. So we're not talking about the complete disregard for the humanity of others.
Yeah. Right. I spoke on that earlier in life. I said excluding crimes being perpetuated towards women and children. So no, I wouldn't participate in any crimes towards women and children.
All right. So Pete, hear me. That is inevitable under capitalism as well. Yeah. Because you cannot exploit a people that you, right? Like when we think about violins, right? And revenge, don't you think that starving people is violent?
Yeah.
Don't you think that...
So I'm also on TikTok. And TikTok,
you said what?
TikTok is also recording. So.
Yeah, I hear you. Don't you think that cutting off people's water supply, right? Monopolizing their water supply, that's violent. Violins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this violins, this dehumanization, and I don't think we think about it often enough that is dehumanizing as well. Right. So this idea of black capitalism, where we then become the exploiter, is, I think, lukewarm, because again, nobody likes being oppressed. And so what ends up happening is uprisings always happen. I'm not prepared to be uprised against. I'm willing to do the uprising, not getting uprised against. So back to the thing, and then I'm gonna dip. I'm gonna shut up forever. Capitalism is bad at distributing resources, period. Right? Because production ceases because labor pools are dried up. Labor pools dry up, right? Because they become too poor to make it to work. Policing becomes unnecessarily violent because you need to have a monopoly on violence to force people to want to come into work. $20, $30, it doesn't matter, right? People come into work because they're desperate. Because if you don't work, you don't eat, right? If you don't work for the difference here is socialism is saying that not working for somebody else, right? That working for somebody else takes away your autonomy and your humanity. Working for yourself is the full human experience. So I think the biggest thing here is like when we talk about revolutions and whether or not they've been allowed to exist, or black countries that have revolted and then been left alone. Well, that's not a thing. That's never happened.
Right.
But I think it's a testimony to the idea that black socialism is frightening to the status quo, because they had to have been snuffed out. They had to snuff them out because it was a threat to the entirety of the global market. Capitalism will eventually crumble because they're going to run out of people to exploit for free and cheap labor. Capitalism, it's going to run out of gas, period.
So I think whether it's capitalism or socialism, it's not going to come back as bullshit, because I don't think white men going to just hand it over to black folk. In terms of black socialism, it's going to require us to be equally as demonstrative as white men. So there's only so much you can say on TikTok, but at some point you have to be willing to do what they do. I think that's ultimately what it's going to boil down to.
I get you. I got a dip. All power to all the people, except for Ralph. Do something good for your neighbor. Ubuntu, viva la raza, throw more bricks.
Solid.
It's only so much, and I appreciate that. Like I said, guys, sometimes I like having conversations and not having a feeling of being because we all have our perspective, man, and we don't, nobody know. We just giving it from the position in which we see it, and I don't think we have to always present ourselves as opposition to each other. We can listen to each other. You can rebuttal it if you need to rebuttal it, but at the end of the day, we black, we brown, we just trying to figure this thing out. But what I'll say is, I know one thing. I know when it goes dark, ain't nothing but monsters out there. When it go dark, man, it's nothing but monsters out there. You got to understand, the world was built by monsters. Angels didn't build Earth, man. Angels didn't build America. Angels didn't build Africa. Angels didn't build the Asian empires. Angels didn't build what presented itself in terms of Middle Eastern empires. Monsters control and build the world. So you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do when the lights go out? And how much you willing to do in terms of, if you deem it to be righteous or wrong, how much you willing to do going to determine your position and your social standing when the lights come back on. So I'm not going to sit up and act like I'm an extremely righteous, God-fearing, I won't harm a butterfly type of person. If I'm given an option of me or them, it's them. It's going to always be them. And them includes the women and the kids. Them or me. It's going to be them. Never me. It's never me. Where we up with this? Skeptic, Swan, then Skeptic, DeMarcus, then Creole. I'm going to get to Ayana. Hold up. Swan, Skeptic, Ayana, DeMarcus, Creole.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep saying it because
and I know that's your hill you standing on, Swan, and I respect it because and I love what you and Covey do, because y'all just standing for black women, and y'all just y'all in that belief that this whole thing is against y'all, and I understand, and I'm standing right next to y'all in that. I do believe capitalism. At the end of the day, capitalism harms black women most. It has shown us that it's most harmful to black women. So I understand your position in the conversation.
Yeah, this is, and respectfully, Skeptic, you're not a black woman, so I don't want to hear any pushback from you when I talk about the fact that capitalism unalives black women. I need you to understand that it's not your place to say anything about the circumstances of black women, because although you may be white presenting, you do not have the experiences of a black woman. So I don't want to hear any pushback from you when I talk about the fact that capitalism does unalive black women. I didn't say that you did. I just said I don't want to hear the pushback.
But to be fair, skeptic.
Yeah, I don't have any pushback for that. No, I know that. I'm just setting the boundary ahead of time.
No, I haven't given any pushback for it because I have no pushback.
So then we're good. So then we're good.
But Swan, to be fair, Skeptic is an ally to black women.
I don't know. But Casa, listen, would an ally not understand that boundary?
Swan, I'm gonna be fair because I'm gonna be fair to you, and whenever respect is to be given to you and Covey, I'm gonna make sure it's that way. And same thing with Skeptic. I've been rocking with Skeptic for over a year on the app, and I know whether I'm in the room or not, Skeptic gonna stand up for black women, and she gonna side with black women every single time.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there is no pushback, then it's fine. That's it. Yeah, if there's no pushback, then that's it. I didn't come for her. I'm not coming for her. I just said I don't want to hear any pushback. That's it. That's all.
I don't think she would give you pushback on your position.
Yeah, she wasn't. The chat is taking it taking it out of context. But yeah, so
You good.
but the point,
I promise you don't have to worry about skeptic giving pushback on your position.
no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, that's just a boundary that I have. That's it. Like, and that would be towards anybody that's not a Black woman, right? That's it. Period. Nobody's bothering her. Nobody's coming at her. Nobody's saying anything negative towards her. I'm just saying that's just a boundary. That's it. But I think the important thing to remember is when we look at the violence that white men display the most in mass is when they are the most scared, right? And I think that is something that must be paid attention to. I didn't Chad, if she says she's not going to give the pushback, then I don't understand why this is an issue.
Chad, let's move away from it. Like little things like that derail the conversation. We good. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my point is I think if people pay attention, right, to when white men are the most violent, then you'll start to understand the psyche that white men have, right? That's where everything it starts to make sense. They have been violently preserving whiteness through capitalism, through violence, through sanctions, through borders, through law, right? And when they are the most violent is when they are the most scared, right? So if we analyze when we see them extremely violent, like right now, for example, then we understand, right, that what they are preserving is what? Here in the United States, what are they preserving? They want to preserve whiteness. They want to preserve capitalism. They want to preserve all of these things. Capitalism is their lifeline, right? So if we want to defeat them, you got to cut them off and hit them where it hurts. White men cannot survive without white supremacy. And the minute you take that ability away from them, then they get scared and they don't know what to do. And I think that that's important. That's it. I'm gonna drop down, but thank you for having me up. I appreciate it.
Always.
Of course.
I'll say this in defense of Skeptic. Skeptic has a Black daughter. So at some point, Skeptic is gonna have to speak up for a Black woman. I don't think I've ever heard Skeptic speak against anything that Black women need. Again, I've seen Skeptic in a room arguing, having a debate with other Black Republican women about how great Black women were. Those Republican women took the position that Asian women were more intelligent than Black women. And Skeptic stood in the room by herself against about 3-4 Black Republican women and said, nah, you're wrong. It's the Black women in America who are the most intelligent, who are the proven leaders, who deserve a chance and an opportunity. So I just like to be fair, y'all. If a person needs to be called out, hey, I ain't gonna stop them. I ain't gonna stop you from calling it out. But I think it's a bit unfair when it comes to a person like Skeptic, somebody who spent the last year literally fighting and advocating for Black women on the app. And again, she has a Black daughter, man. So at some point, she's gonna have to step in and speak in a way that protects the child that she has. That's just my opinion on it. I'm different because I don't think it's a problem that Swan set a boundary for herself. I think Black women have to set those sort of boundaries, especially when you're having conversations with others, because groups of others have proven to be anti-Black in terms of conversations and dealing with Black women. I just think it was kind of a haymaker for no reason, but I don't have a problem with Swan setting a boundary. But I also know Skeptic, and I know Skeptic work, and I know what Skeptic heart is. So I'm not going to just allow Skeptic to take a haymaker. Skeptic,
Yeah.
you can reply to that if you want to. Then it's on that, y'all.
Y'all, the chat today is not playing. Chat chill.
It's rough today. It's rough.
Right. And I also think I'm respectful of boundaries, so I'm glad that Swan set her boundary. I think honestly the conversation that we had today is one that is very beneficial for everyone to listen to. And honestly, I don't know another platform that's having conversations that really bring in both perspectives. I think sometimes people can kind of stray away from hard conversations, and that should be a reason why you continue to come and have those conversations, why you should challenge things that you believe. Because I feel like everyone, if you are in a thought process where nothing can change your mind, then you don't want growth, right? When somebody comes in and challenges you, questions you on your beliefs, then you have to think from a different perspective. And so I think that's how you grow. Even if we disagree, like Castle and I won't always agree on everything, it's okay to have disagreements. This is what makes us different than MAGA. This is what makes us different than conservatives. They do not, they can't stand somebody not agreeing with them. And so therefore, when someone disagrees with them, they automatically see you as an op. We can still want the same thing and want a benefit for the community. We may be going about it the wrong way. We may have a different perspective of what is right, but challenging those ideas is how you're going to change. If we never have the conversation, then we'll never think differently. And, kind of to what we've been talking about, I think you bring up, literally, you kind of like read my mind on the way that I think about it, the way I think about socialism and the economy. It's the fact that you don't want to put yourself at a disadvantage, right? And again, I know we keep saying realistically, but what would that look like? The transition between the type of economy that we have now, and how would we benefit and transition into a different type of economy? Who would take charge? Because, and like I've said before, when I look at other countries, when I look at Cuba, when I look at countries that have more of a socialist idea and have implemented those ideas, I see that the people that take ownership of the privatization of corporations is the state or the government. And in that aspect, I wouldn't trust the US government to take ownership of companies, right? And so I think in that aspect, you bring up very valid points that I still feel like went a little bit unanswered. But again, challenging those viewpoints, it's what we're here for, those type of conversations.
Yeah, and you have to be okay with a potential dark age. After capitalism falls, then what? There's no guarantee that some sort of system of black socialism is going to be ushered in where we all just live in peace and harmony. What if that shit trigger a dark age? What if America turns into Libya? Are you prepared for this country to be dominated by military factions? You can no longer travel from state to state? If this shit go dark, then what? You know what you're asking for? You're asking for a system to completely collapse, right? You ask for the power grid to go down. Are y'all equipped to deal with the dark? I don't think you are. You know how to grow your own food? I don't think you do. You know how to protect yourself against a mob of people? I don't think you do. So we can, as black and brown people, go into a system of capitalism and begin to rewire the system and slowly usher in a new system that we can call socialism. We can use that system to do a little bit more for people over time. And then ultimately, maybe one day you look up and say, hey, we on the backside of capitalism. We're doing more for people who don't have anything. And then maybe that smooth transition can take place. But this revolutionary idea that one day we're going to rise up and overthrow this system and usher in a new system of socialism and live in peace and harmony. You have to be a fool to believe that, man. You think these white boys acting crazy. Take capitalism away from it and don't transition away from it properly. You're going to understand madness in the streets. So I think a lot of this shit go beyond books. In terms of you people who just coming into my live, man, and who want to question me, my whole platform built on me speaking up for black women specifically. So if today your first day coming in my live, I advise you to stop coming in my motherfucking space. Because how you feel today, not going to take away from damn near a year and a half of me and the work that I've been doing on this platform. I'm one of the only niggas on this motherfucker that speak up for black women. So don't play with me. Play with your nigga or go play with yourself. But don't play with me. Y'all do this weird shit on here where y'all become tribes based around creators. Y'all gotta chill on this shit when it comes to black folk, man. Black people can be in one space having a conversation and have alternative perspectives and views without us being opposite to each other. We're not opposition to each other up here. I don't view nobody up here today as being an opposition to me. I think we're just black folk with different perspectives and we understand and we see the world different. You know, some of us are more modest and some of us have more of an extreme perspective. And I think that's okay. We have to get out of this shit as black people, as we have to be one thing. And if we're not that, we're going to completely cut each other off. No, man, we're just having an open conversation, open dialogue. But you motherfuckers who new to my space, you better shut the fuck up when it comes to me and black women, especially if you don't know my work. Because I guarantee you, when we look at the last 13 months, you ain't done more for black women than I have. That's a fucking bet. That's a bet. Ayana, go ahead.
Wow. Okay.
The United States, the economic system, the social system, cultural, all of that, the whole system is corrupt, but it seeks to represent itself as some example of freedom and democracy. And then it takes itself all over the world saying, hey, look at me, freedom and democracy. Don't you want some? Don't you want some? Don't you want some? And then it convinces us that, as Black people, we're on different sides of how to cure it, how to fix it, how we what we should do to make this better for ourselves. Some will say, well, there's nothing wrong. Everything is fine. Even though it colonized us at least through the 1960s, it colonized Black America at least through the 1960s. And it continues to colonize the rest of the world with all of this foreign investments and foreign borrowing and don't you want our money and take from us and you'll owe us type of BS. And we're sitting here trying to figure out where we go next. How do we get out of this? Where do we go from here? And even though we've been pitted against each other seemingly, our objectives are the same.